we're gonna wait a minute. Excuse me, I need some water. Hello, hello. It's morning for me, so good morning. Yeah, you're better alive. Just like you are. You're better alive than you are deep fried. I don't know what that has to do with veganism, the BBC. Turkeys can be pets. Although I'll be honest, I think having pets is also a form of use of animals, but we definitely, they're here, so we need to take care of who's here. But turkeys are actually very loving. They love to cuddle. They have their preferences on who they like to be around. They have unique personalities and complex inner lives. Yeah, they're both cuddly. Plants are not sentient. They don't feel pain. Like I said, turkeys are very loving. They love to cuddle. Yeah, so which do you think it's moral to eat dogs? Yeah, exactly. Go vegan. Save the animals. I'm going to skip down to the bottom. You guys are going really fast. I can't keep up. Excuse me. Oh, I do see we have some requests. So you got to be over 18. Check out my question above. If you're waiting in the queue, why cuddle one but carve the other? All right. Well.
Yo, this chicken tastes so good, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, Wyatt. Hey, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Right on. So why cuddle one but carve the other?
I think we have to understand that the circle of life and the food chain are two real things. Humans are animals.
What part of the food chain are we?
Well, it depends on the human.
Right. We're not actually a part of the food chain as we
No, that's
farm the
not true.
animals.
That's not true. If
If you were in a cage with a lion, I doubt you could really hold your own.
well, that would make us part of the food chain, right?
Right,
Because
but you
lion would
wouldn't
eat
be
us.
the top.
That
You
would
wouldn't
we.
be the
I
top.
didn't. I said you just
So
said that
since
we're
we're
not part of
not,
it.
okay, Wyatt,
You
we're
just said
not.
we're not a part of it.
We're not.
But we are, because you just
How
admit that a
often are
lion
you
would eat a
attacked
human.
by a lion?
Well, I don't live in Africa.
Okay, how often are you attacked by a bear?
I don't live near bears either.
How often are you attacked by any animal?
Well, considering
Exactly.
I don't put myself in
You're not a part
position
of
to
any
be
food chain
attacked.
anymore, are you?
Yeah, we are a part of the food chain, but humans collectively are at the top of the food
Wyatt,
chain.
I want you to just take a second. We aren't part of food chains. We're actually part of food webs. And humans aren't even a part of them. As, like I said, we've taken animals out of nature and put them into factories, essentially. So we are not part of a food chain.
We live in nature. Just because
Are
we
you in
have
a
shelter.
house?
Yeah, that would mean
That's
humans
not
built
nature.
shelter.
Nature is, by definition, not made by human hand.
We live in houses are in nature. I mean, I think you're totally disconnected from reality. It's
Okay,
sad.
Wyatt. Why does this justify you using animals?
Because if humans were not collectively at the top of the food chain, we're not advanced, our ability to communicate was not advanced to the level of certain animals. We have the ability to create shelter that other animals don't have, right? Collectively, we are at the top of the food chain. Why do we eat other animals? Because if we didn't, and if we weren't at the top of the food chain, they would eat us. It's simple.
Okay, Wyatt.
If I put you in Africa with a bunch of lions, okay, let's no offense here, I'd last a lot longer than you. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's
That
say
means
some
that
aliens.
you are part of the food
Wyatt,
chain.
shut up for a second. Good God, dude. All right, let's say some aliens come down. They're smarter than you. They know how to navigate the universe better than you. Can they enslave you and use your body for their purposes without your consent? Is that okay?
Yeah, that would be up to them if they were more advanced.
You would
than
accept
me.
that. So you don't even
Well,
believe in
clearly-
human rights then?
I wouldn't have a choice if aliens came down and were that much more advanced.
All right, I'm going
Humans
to give you
wouldn't
one
have
more
a
time.
choice.
You're telling me you wouldn't fight for your life.
Of course I would, but guess what?
Okay, why would you do that?
There's
If this
winners
is just
and
the
losers.
natural order, why wouldn't you do that? Why
It
wouldn't you
is.
escape and tell them to stop?
Well, if I wasn't able to escape because they were that much advanced, I'd have no chance. I would fight
You
to my
wouldn't. You
death.
still wouldn't tell them to stop. You wouldn't
I
want
would
it to
fight
stop.
to my death, and they wouldn't
Okay,
care.
so then why are you putting others in this situation?
Because that's how the fucking world works. You think that the losers don't fight to their death? Do you think
I'm
that
not
turkeys
talking
don't
about
fight to
what
their death?
happens. I'm talking about what's moral. Moral. Do you see the
I
difference?
think your morality is disconnected from reality.
That's great you think that. I don't think you understand what morality means.
No, I do. My morality is
What's it
based
mean?
on Jesus
What's it mean?
Christ. Where's yours based?
Oh, well, you should watch the documentary Christspiracy. It's an interesting.
Christspiracy.
Yep, it talks
So is
about
Christ a
Jesus and how he
conspiracy?
lived. No, it actually focuses on how he lived his life.
Okay.
Yeah, you should check it out.
Christspiracy.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah, you sound very passionate. I think you might like that one. It got me going, and I'm an atheist.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to you.
Thank you. Well, I'll let you go
Either-
for now. We have a heated.
Either way,
I don't think
why-
you're gonna agree with me just because of your religion. Mostly because I don't think you even know what's in your text. I was told some words were mistranslated, and they go to the original text and show you the words and how you can find the definitions. So I suggest you go look at that first before.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
pray
want you to
for
be-
you. You're disconnected from reality.
Okay.
It's
Well, you
sad.
have a great day. I appreciate you coming up. You can pray for me all you want. Hey.
Hello.
I don't know what. Oh, you sound like a child. How old are you?
I'm 19.
What year were you born?
What?
Mhm. Yeah. Hey, Corey. Gotta be over 18.
Hi, hello?
Hi. Are you over 18?
Yes, I am.
Cool. Why cuddle one but carve the other?
Yeah, yes, I like the stuff you're saying about animal liberation. I didn't like what the last guy was saying.
What's
What
this?
he was saying doesn't make sense.
Do you remember specifically what you're referring to?
No, the last thing you just said, because I just came on here not too long ago.
We were just talking about why is it okay to use animals, and he was talking about being part of a food chain.
Okay.
He said that we're the top, and I was saying, well, there's actually food webs, and we've left nature, and he was arguing that us living in our houses is still nature.
Whoa, that's ridiculous.
Well, so my point is, it doesn't even matter nature, not nature. They're sentient beings. We have science that shows that we can thrive on a plant-based diet. We don't need to use them for clothing or for entertainment or for vivisection even. So there's no point in breeding, forcing someone into existence just to be used.
Yes, that's true.
Are you vegan?
Yes, I've been
Oh, right on.
vegetarian. I've been vegetarian for 12 years, vegan for 6 years and 8 months.
Way to go. That is awesome. Way to go. What was your biggest challenge?
Well,
Transitioning.
I'm gonna tell you. So when I was real young, when I was age 1, age 2, age 3, and age 4, I didn't like meat. But once I turned 5 years old, I started eating meat. So then my friend, the guy I was friends with, that when we were 22 years old, so going on 23. So the guy I was friends with, he said to me, his doctor said meat causes cancer, it causes hemorrhoids. So his doctor said to lay off the meat. So then he decided to go vegan, and then I followed his footsteps by going vegan. So days later, we seen a video of how animals are treated. But to tell you the truth, by watching it, it didn't affect me whatsoever. But days later, I lived in a group home, so it was difficult to be vegan, so I had to be vegetarian. So then days later, I went out to eat with a coworker. So she had a chicken pizza, I had a cheese pizza. So then she said to me, in order for us to remain as friends, I have to eat a chicken pizza. So I did not want to eat the chicken pizza, but she pressured me into eating the chicken pizza, so I ate the chicken pizza. In other words, she forced me. But I was still vegetarian though. And to be honest, I wasn't pleased that she made me eat the chicken pizza. So then 2013, come to find out, the guy I was friends with, he's not vegan anymore because he said to me, his doctor says not the meat that caused the problem. So then he went back to eating meat. So then 2014, my grandma said at least eat fish or else my body would get sick. So I became a pescatarian. So 2017, my aunt and I watched a documentary called What the Health, and I seen like dead pigs in a garbage can. So I decided to go back vegetarian for the third time. So I became a vegetarian. So 2018, I seen What the Health documentary again. So March 16, 2018, I became a vegan. So as a vegan, I seen a lot of documentaries, Cowspiracy, Seaspiracy, and Milk from Plant-Based News. And I was sad watching those documentaries, seeing how animals are treated.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are there any specific documentaries you prefer? I always promote Dominion just because it kind of covers everything.
Well, I also recommend people to check out Earthlings.
That's another great one. That one's, yeah, they're both about the same level of, oh my God. Well, that's awesome. Was there anything else you wanted to say? I'm mostly looking to have conversations with non-vegans because I want to try to change some minds.
Yeah, I have a question. What's your thoughts about Joaquin Phoenix doing films riding horses?
I don't like it. He's not. It's heartbreaking to me because he's obviously showing that it's okay to still use animals, and horse riding specifically is just horrific.
Yes, unethical.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. I don't think anybody actually understands what has to go into preparing a horse to be safe for anybody to hop onto. So it's very aggressive and abusive.
Oh yeah, there's this vegan that I know from Family Dollar. All right, she claimed that she never ate meat in her life. She's been vegan since birth. So she said for Thanksgiving, she's gonna eat meat for the first time.
I mean, that to me tells me she was never actually vegan, because vegan is a principled stance against the exploitation of animals. So if you're
Yes, it's
willing
not
to
it's not a
participate,
diet.
no. So if you're willing to consume them, then you clearly don't see them as a someone. You see them as a something to be used. So that's unfortunate. I'm really sad to hear that. Did you have any other comments?
Well,
Questions?
so I have a question. What made you decide to go vegan, and how long have you been vegan?
I've been vegan 8 years, and What the Health got my attention first, and then I watched other documentaries, and I think it was Cowspiracy that really got me to change my habits. I went vegetarian though way beforehand because I was a massage therapist, and
Okay.
I saw the similarities in our body to their body, and that just made us, both my partner and I, very uncomfortable.
Right.
So I did go vegan for like a month because I read a book called Skinny Bitch, and then I became just vegetarian out of principle because I saw the similarities in our body. And then so that was like 2011 when that happened, and then Cowspiracy was really that hitting point. So I think that was 2016. And then hardcore vegan sense.
Okay.
Yep. But for me, it was just, at first it was about the suffering. Like, I saw them harming the animals. So then I was also on this like journey to try to find, is there this ethical way to exploit someone, which is just, it's almost rhetorical, or not rhetorical, oxymoronish. And you can't do it. There's a documentary called Cow, and it's probably the most like humane, if you will, slave farm of cows, and she's treated really well. You never see her get hurt.
Right.
There's no talking in the documentary, but she still loses her life. She still has her babies taken from her. So.
Right. And the thing with Lizzo, I don't understand why Lizzo went back to animal exploitation. All right, she claimed she was vegetarian first, then vegan. I look at it like she was never vegan. Plant-based, yes. Vegan, no.
I'll answer this last one, and then I'm going to move on, just because, like I said, I want to talk to some non-vegans. But Lizzo, again, just plant-based. Someone probably doing it because she thought it was kind of rebellious. She seems a very rebellious person, so she's probably just going against the grain. Also, she probably heard it was healthy. She seems like someone that's just trying to, stir it up, get a little attention. So, yeah, I'm heartbroken by that too. But anyway, Corey, thank you for coming up. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you have a great day. All right. I'm going to try to keep track of you guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to go from the bottom this time. I'm going to go back and forth. Hey, Bogart, how old are you? Hi, how
18.
old are you? What year were you born?
January 10th, 2006.
Okay. So, why cuddle one but carve the other?
Yo, because I tried cuddling a chicken, right? But he fucking almost scratched my damn eye out. And also, like, cats don't taste delicious. But I guarantee you a steak is way better.
Have you actually tried eating cat?
No, but...
Okay, so how do you know it doesn't taste good?
Because I have friends that have eaten cat and it's just mediocre meat.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, let's say it tasted really good. Would that justify it?
No.
Okay. Why?
Because cats really haven't... Well, cats, if you kill them, it's not, people aren't going to buy that shit. Because humans perceive that as disgusting. But,
There's cultures that eat cats, though. Like, regularly.
I mean, big cats eat bigger cats. And
No. Regular cats. Domesticated house cats.
I'm not talking about domesticated cats. I'm saying cats out in the wild. It is instinct to eat meat. I mean, we have canine.
Do you think that it's moral that other cultures eat house cats?
Well, it's not really a moral decision. I mean, it really just goes down to choice. You can't really just
Would
force
you,
someone
if
to be.
let's say you traveled to one of these cultures and they offered this to you, would you eat it?
I mean, shit, if I'm high enough, I'll really do anything.
You would eat cat?
I do eat pussy, so, you know.
It sounds like you have, okay, not brave enough to face the conversation. Have to use jokes to put up a wall. I get it. You gotta have some safety. I got it. I poked at something that was really sensitive. Yeah. So the whole thing that I'm trying to circle here is that they're both feeling beings. They both are experiencing the world and making preferences on those experiences. I know that we don't think of turkeys as cuddly, and we're not necessarily supposed to go out and hug all animals, and they shouldn't all have to accept our love either. But they have the capacity. A lot of them are very lovey animals. They want to cuddle. You can find many videos of turkeys cuddling, their caretakers. So we're, taking advantage of someone that's vulnerable to us for our taste pleasure, and it's a feeling individual. That's just not fair. All right. Air to mud, if you ever load. I'm sorry, it looks like it's not going to work. I don't know why it's not working. Mr. J.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, are you over 18?
Yeah, no. Shit, I don't even never want to go back.
Same.
So I'm curious
so,
about something. So
go ahead.
you're super adamant on this, like about the turkey versus, well, I'm not gonna say turkey versus cat, but in general, right? Like, so cows, it doesn't just apply to turkeys.
Right. It's you could say companion animals and farm animals if you want, but
Okay.
any animal that we use.
Okay. So just curiosity here. There's no fight intended here. What do you do with the thousands upon thousands upon thousands that are existing right now?
Sure.
Like, we raise
just
them.
just to be clear. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were done.
No. Sorry.
Okay. So just to clarify though, I just want to know further on your question. Is this like a the world goes vegan overnight situation,
Yeah,
or
like we're saying overnight, okay. We just all went.
Yeah. So we have like the millions of animals. So what we do have are subsidies that go to the farmers to fatten the animals up, and
Right.
what we could do is just allocate that money to them to, instead of ending their life, to just continue taking care of them until they pass away just naturally.
I think those
Not in cages, but in more. Sorry.
That subsidy that you're discussing there, that would not be enough money.
Well, there's other ways that we could fund it. To be clear, though, this would never happen overnight. I wish
it'll never happen.
It just would never happen. But if it did, it would be maybe a rough 20, 25 years. But if the world was to go vegan, that means that nobody wants to exploit animals anymore. So it wouldn't even be a matter of, this is hard. It'd be more like, okay, we got to figure out a solution. So that was a solution of mine. I'm not a conservationist, and I'm obviously not a politician. So I'm not really aware of all the funds that we could pluck
it'd be
from.
a lot.
But the thing is what's going to happen is the more vegans that do practice abstaining from supporting that industry, the demand will drop, right? So the producers and processors and the farmers, they'll all reduce their supply because they don't want to lose money. So it'll be a slow decline, and then eventually there'll be a smaller amount of animals, and then they can just be sent to sanctuaries if that's what the population wants to do.
Yeah, it'd have to be a whole thing.
So, and the whole thing about veganism, though, it's not really even a protest. It's just that is a benefit of everybody going vegan. It's a principled thing. So let's say, me stepping back from it did nothing to the industry. I still wouldn't do it because principally I don't want someone to have their whole subjective experience used against their will and then just arbitrarily taken away.
Big Bird down in the chat there. An attacked turkey would probably be scarier than an attacked dog any day.
Oh
I don't know.
yeah,
I've been
turkeys
chased by
are
a turkey. They're
yeah
mean.
they would be scary. Yeah, they're fast, but it can be. Not the ones we breed now. They're actually so big they can't even
Yeah,
really
they're not
mate.
very useful.
So, wild turkeys for sure. So, what justifies you
That was the
using
only question.
animals? Oh, okay. Did you want to stay up and talk, or are you just leaving?
I'll stay up for a minute.
Okay. So, what justifies you using animals?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, well, I don't really have a justification. It's just normality, I guess.
I mean, slavery was normal at one point, you know.
Oh, that's a hard stretch.
So when you think about people that lived in that time, do you think that people should have acted quicker, or do you think people should have just kept doing what they were doing, maybe reducing their support?
I think that's what happened.
Well, there was actually a hard switch to suddenly not have any slavery, right?
They had to build that support over time. So
right. Well, do you think that it should have, in your moral framework, do you think it should have gone faster?
Well, always.
Okay. What do you think should have been done for that to go faster?
Oh God, I'm not a historian. I'm an IT person.
Do you think that people should have stopped their support as soon as they knew that they were supporting human slavery?
Well, I think they knew they were supporting human slavery. Like that's not a
right. In your moral framework, do you think that once they found out that they were directly supporting slave labor, that they should have stopped and tried to find an alternative in that time?
Yeah, that's hard to say. Again, I can't. Historical facts aren't my thing.
Well, it's a hypothetical, and I'm just asking you to use your moral framework. I understand that if you lived in that time, you would be influenced by your society, but I'm asking you now, in your current moral framework, looking back on there. Okay, so you do think that they should have abstained quicker from using those products, so that way they could have made it very clear that they didn't want to support slave labor.
What is that? I'm trying to read the comment there. I couldn't even understand.
No, but don't. I was gonna say, don't read the comments. I want to actually have an engaging conversation. So, I mean, if you're not interested, you can go. But
yeah, not for slavery. Like, I'm gonna avoid that topic. Like, if you want to, like, we can talk IT.
So I'm asking you if slavery was moral, and if people agreed that it's immoral, that they should have pulled away their support. That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, that's
okay.
basic.
So I'm trying to relate that to you right now, as there's an injustice happening to the animals that we use because of your support. And if you abstain from supporting them, we can more quickly liberate them. Do you see where I am trying to make the analogy?
Yeah,
it's a rights movement. Okay. Well, maybe I'm going to send you off. Just go watch Dominion. That way you know kind of where I'm coming from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's free on YouTube. But I do appreciate you coming up. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I feel like you were here for a minute. Hey, Brady. How old are you?
What's up? I am a sophomore in college.
How old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay, cool. So why cuddle one but carve the other?
I would say as a human being, we can look at it as the cuddle mindset, right? Why cuddle one and why carve the other? The simple fact is, before we became a farming culture, right? Before we could grow our own crops and all that, you had to kind of forage, right? So you're going to carve the turkey, right? And it depends where you're at, but they're going to carve the cat too. So at the end of the day, I feel like it's all about luxury. It's about survival at the end of the day. If you have the luxury to cuddle a cat, guess what you're going to do? You're going to cuddle that cat. If you have a luxury to cuddle a turkey, what's up?
Do you live near a grocery store?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you get most of your food at the grocery store?
Majority of it, but we like to spruce it up a little.
So, what is your justification for using animals?
Well, what do you mean by justification? Like, why do I feel like it's right to eat animals?
Yeah, why do you have a right to someone else's body?
Well, it depends what your definition of somebody is. So, like,
No.
if we can-
I'm
No, no.
asking you, why do you think that it's okay that you use an animal's body? Don't get hung up on words.
Well, why do I feel like it's right for me to use an animal's body? Because if I was in the animal kingdom, which we are, or however you look at it, for the simple survival factor.
Okay, so let's say I have a baby, but I don't like the size. No. I have a baby that I just gave birth to, but it's too small in my opinion. Can I kill this baby? Because lions do it. I'm an animal. They're an animal. Is that okay?
No, not necessarily, but like we were
Why?
saying, that's when it borderlines obviously that we're humans, and then one's an animal, obviously.
So then why are you using them to justify your actions now?
I haven't even finished what I said.
You're telling me because lions kill other animals that it's okay for you to do the same.
I haven't even brought up lions.
You have brought up other animals and why it's okay for them to eat other animals.
For the simple survival factor.
You're not surviving. No. We just talked about you live near a grocery store.
So because I live by a grocery store means I have to abstain by a vegan diet.
No, it means you have options.
That's what our diet asks for is options.
Okay, so one option has a victim, one option does not. What is the moral choice?
What's the definition of a victim in this situation? Because I agree.
Someone having a subjective experience that is having a negative experience forced on them.
How do you, all right, so let's say.
You asked me what a victim is. So what justifies you making the choice to make a victim?
What makes you feel like the animal is a victim? I'm just asking.
I just told you they are an individual having a subjective experience, which means they're experiencing the world and they're making preferences on it.
What about the plants, though? What
they are not sentient. They do not have a brain or a central nervous system. And if you genuinely think that plants are sentient, we grow more of them to feed to animals. So drop that argument because it's a disingenuous one. A vegan world would grow fewer plants and actually feed more of the world.
But what about other luxuries, though?
What luxury?
What about the shirt you're wearing? That should be all made by plants, right? Polyester and plastics.
Cotton.
But then that goes on to, other health things. So we should, I agree. So I think the big problem is big meat companies, right? They're just
the problem is our mindset. We're looking at animals as resources instead of individuals. Like the way we look at companion animals, most humans would lose their mind, not humans, but most Americans at least, or Western countries, would lose their minds at the idea of a dog being used as a livestock animal, being hoisted by their leg upside down and having their throat slit. You know?
But
I'm telling you, they're no different. In fact, pigs are smarter. Pigs are smarter than dogs.
Oh yeah,
and yet that's the process that they go through. So I'm asking you,
but the thing that's
what makes it
about
okay
pigs,
for you to do that?
Originally, there was 4 pigs brought over to the U.S. All of the pigs that we have in the U.S. now originated from those 4 pigs that were brought over originally. So that just shows how fucking crazy their breeding cycle is, right? So there needs to be a form of control, right? You need to be able to control a population.
You just pointed out the problem that we brought them here. It's not about their breeding numbers. And in addition, a lot of pigs are actually AI'd. So they're not even breeding at their normal rate. They're being force bred at a higher rate to meet demand. So if we just stop demand, they'll stop force breeding them.
Well, I wish it could be a happy world, but you could never stop the force of demand of pigs like that.
So how have we made change in the world ever? There was slavery at one point. We fought for human rights. We fought for women's rights. We fought for workers' rights, LGBTQ plus rights. So how did any change ever get made if, we had the mindset that the status quo will be what it is forever?
It's because people do not look at animals' life the same way you do. I think that's
Right,
the
but
big thing,
in
right?
times of
So,
slavery, did they not look at another person
well,
and think
that
that
was
they are not having an experience?
truly, let's be honest. Most people back in the day knew that slavery was
I
not
don't
the
think they did.
most
I
clean
think
cut.
they
No,
made the Brady, they literally made the same arguments that people make to keep enslaving animals. They make the same arguments. In fact, there were even the same humane things for this. These slaves were humanely treated, and as like these are humane eggs. Same thing. Like we haven't changed. We've just changed the species of the slave. In fact, they've been enslaved even then. Animals have been experiencing the slavery for 10,000 years at least.
oh yeah, for sure. But for us to even have the local luxury of having the grocery store full of pigs, full of veggies, whatever you eat,
No,
you
but
know,
see,
you
Brady, what
have
I'm
to
telling you is
have.
you have this luxury and you need to take advantage of it because right now you're making a victim for no reason. It's unnecessary. You have absolute choice. And if you make that choice, it becomes easier for other people that don't have access to that choice. Because you're increasing the demand for the plant-based products. And you're living in alignment with your principles, not paying for someone to be exploited for you. That's all right. You can run. Go check out Dominion. I promise you'll see what I'm talking about. This does show more of like the suffering side, but it's like once you realize that they're suffering, you'll go on that path to find, is there this ethical way to exploit somebody? And you'll learn, no, there's always going to be this suffering. You're stealing someone's freedom. You're like chickens, for example. Some people think it's okay to have backyard chickens, but you have to purchase those chickens or get them from some source that was breeding them so that they have eggs every day. They don't do that in the wild. They only drop like 15 eggs a year in the wild, and to do more than that is wasteful energy. You can't survive in nature like that, or it's much harder at least. Odie, I feel like I've had you up before.
Hey, how's it going?
You're vegan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thought so. Yeah. I keep forgetting who's who anymore. I don't know why. But anyway, hey.
Yeah, I was just sitting here on my lunch break and saw everybody saying all the things they were saying, and it's kind of silly. Obviously, you know, if we truly want to make things, you know, go vegan, the first thing we do is we end those subsidies that were being discussed, so that the farmers are no longer getting that money. That cost goes up, the demand goes down, and so the incentive to breed more cattle would die down, and that would reduce the number of cattle that exists before everybody goes, you know, vegan. It's pretty simple. It's pretty quick, and you know, and also as those subsidies go down, the amount of actual farmable land would increase, and which would mean that we would have even more food options out there in the world, and we would not need to, you know, the people who currently rely on meat would less. And, you know, as far as our ancestors were concerned, they ate way, way, way less meat than we do today. You know, meat was kind of a thing you would only eat a few times a year. It doesn't matter where you're from in the world. It's true that our ancestors ate less meat than we do now. So, you know, bogus to that. And yeah, the guy making the survival kept on saying, I'm eating the meat to survive. It's kind of like, no, dude, you're not trying to survive. You are sleeping in a house. You have a grocery store. You're not surviving, dude. You're thriving. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I have spent time in a tent in the desert, and I ate wild plants. I ate cactus. I ate wild onion. I ate wild mustard greens, you know, and wolfberries and things like that.
I do think it's a crime that most people, including myself, do not know how to survive even their native areas around them on, just foraging plants.
I think that it's definitely a problem. I don't know if I would say the word that it's a crime.
Criminal, right. Well, it's a little bit in the sense that we're supposed to be educating our youth to be able to survive, and I just feel like that's something we've missed out on, is being able to survive a little bit.
Yeah, when I lived in Phoenix, I helped out with a local youth shelter, as I would teach the kids there how to forage locally in Phoenix.
Nice.
So a lot of citrus, a lot of carob, dates, cactus, things like that.
Nice, yeah.
And I think that yeah, I mean, we have so many options, and Thanksgiving's coming up. I think if I'm correct here, I've read quite a few times that like the first Thanksgiving didn't have turkey, and the pumpkin pie looked more like the pumpkin pie I make, which is in a pie shell. I take a pie shell. I take a pumpkin shell, and that becomes my pie shell.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I
Yes.
just cook up. I heat up sugar and oat milk to make kind of a simple pudding, and add in some more pumpkin puree, and that's my pie right there.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and my partner's family, who only like a couple of them are vegan. They love it. They've asked me to make it again this year.
Right on.
And yeah, I mean, if we're going to show thanks, that thanks should not involve the ending of someone else's life. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to destroy the things that were created. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming up and sharing that. I am going to move on, though, if that's okay.
Yep, that's okay.
All
I
right.
just wanted to respond to basically everything I just heard there. All right.
Yeah,
You have a
appreciate
good day. I got to get back to work anyways. All right.
Right on.
Bye.
Appreciate you. Thanks. Bye. All right, guys. You heard it. Easily have a vegan Thanksgiving. Come on. Or is it K-Mad? Hello? Okay. Guys, I'm really bad, so I'm sorry if you've been sitting there for a minute. I'm trying to go back and forth from top to bottom.
Hello?
Hey, negative. Are you over 18?
I am. I'm 23.
Awesome. All right. So why cuddle one? Hey, Lydia. Sorry. So why cuddle one but carve the other?
I guess really I just have a main question for you. What do you say to people who have things like celiac disease, Crohn's disease, or even certain forms of cancer that, I mean, their body is given a natural zinc deficiency, and without including meat in their diet, I mean, it's virtually impossible to 100% vegan make up that deficiency for zinc.
So I want to be clear, I'm not a nutritionist. I do follow what's called the Dailey Dozen. So it's just like a checklist to make sure you get all your needed nutrition. But I have all these resources right here that would help with that. The top one being talking to a dietitian, like an actual person. And dietitians are okay. So that's what I would say. I would say go to Challenge 22, because they'll help you. They'll literally make meal plans with you so that you get everything you needed.
I'm pre-med in college, and my point kind of remains that even with talking to
pre-med, that has nothing to do with nutrition, though.
I have taken about, I think, 3 nutritional classes now. People with those kinds of zinc deficiencies.
Okay. A dietitian is a doctorate. They have a doctorate in how nutrition affects your health.
Okay, we'll leave that point alone. Something else I've noticed throughout this live is you you allude to a lot of the Spiracy films, Cowspiracy, What the Health, etc. The main director behind those films is Kip Anderson. Kip Anderson has a degree, like a bachelor degree in business. So what what makes you think that he has the governing body and able to educate people on these decisions?
Sure.
He doesn't
I
have a
don't
doctorate
trust him.
in
I don't trust
nutrition.
him. I trust I go look at his sources. He has sources listed, so you can go see where he gets his information from.
And so on top of that, then you kind of played into my next point. A lot of his sources have been called out underneath fraud multiple times by other proven physicians.
By who? By who?
Other proven physicians. I mean, I can send you links if you'd like, but a lot of these dietitians.
I don't care. If you don't trust documentaries, that's totally cool. I don't care. But the nutritionfacts.org actually has studies, and they go through it and show you what happened and the actual results of studying specific foods and certain diets. So I'd go check out that. That'd be the next resource.
Again, and if we go back to the diet thing, then we run back into the zinc issue. Like that's not even
they
necessarily
cover that. Nutrition Facts covers that.
That's not even just a dietitian issue. These people are physically incapable of sustaining the amount of zinc they need from plant base.
So what justifies your use of animals? Because we're not going to agree on the health factor for people that are in your situation, apparently, even though I've given you two science-backed resources. But please,
it is my health
what
factor.
justifies your use?
Again, it is my health factor. I have Crohn's disease. I physically.
Okay, well, you should go to talk to this dietitian.
Oh, I've talked to many dietitians actually.
No, but this is a plant-based dietitian. They can help you actually. So here's the thing. Do you care about animals? Do you care what happens to them?
Again, I have seen probably well over 40 dietitians in 10 years of being diagnosed.
No. You didn't answer my question. Do you care what happens to animals?
Of course I do. But when it comes to my own survival,
why do you care what happens to them? Why do you care what happens to them?
I mean, then you can get into the whole morality argument, but morality is completely.
That's why I'm here.
Again, I mean, I don't think that anybody has the idea that that animals should die. I don't think that's anybody's mind.
So if you agree that animals shouldn't be unalive for unnecessary reasons, don't you agree that you can only control yourself, should make choices that align with that principle?
Again, for me, it's a dietary thing.
And again, if you truly agree that animals shouldn't be used or unalive for your purposes, why not jump for joy that I just gave you two resources you didn't even know existed before? You should be like, oh, excellent. I don't want to hurt animals. I'm totally going to check those out. I also have ChatGPT. Have you ever heard of that?
So if you're going to go down this route, then why do you think that this one dietitian who has a doctorate is any more educated?
It's not one dietitian. It's a team of them.
Okay, and I've talked to over 30 in the past 10 years. So
Negative.
What makes them
You're
more
not
qualified?
listening. The point that I'm making, animals are sentient, which means they're a subject, just like you, having an experience of the world and making preferences. I like feeling comfortable. I don't like feeling pain. You're doing the same thing. And for some reason, you think it's justified to take that away from them because you don't want to look for a different solution. You just want to hold on to the fact that there's no solution. Do you see the problem? You're still seeing them as a thing to be used.
Again, say what you will, these people have been scientifically proven not able to sustain these diets through any kind of
I've been
plant-based
vegan
diet.
8 years.
Okay, do you have Crohn's disease?
No, but there are people that have Crohn's disease that are vegan.
And
there are people that are both celiac and have Crohn's disease that are vegan.
Some of those don't have a zinc deficiency. It's completely genetically based.
Okay, so again, I don't know what you want me to say because I'm not a professional. I can point you to a professional, but you don't want to do that.
I'm giving you professional statistics, but you don't want to look at them.
No, you're not. You haven't given me a single one. You're just telling me your opinion.
I'll be happy to DM you links.
Hold on. Hey, Lydia, would you be willing to come up for a second? Let's see if I can invite you up. Because Lydia actually is trained in this. But you don't have to if you don't want to, Lydia. I'll send her an invite.
I've got to get back to work. I just wanted to bring up these points. Totally up to
Can you at least hear her out for a second?
I would like to say though that plant-based diets can be healthy for some people, but each individual is, it's up to them. But in the long run, I feel like how we are raising animals is more terrible for human health in the long run. So eventually we will see things like lab-based meats and such that may provide a solution for people who don't have options. But for those who do, I'm just curious, for those who do have an option, do you think that they have a moral obligation to go plant-based, at least diet-wise?
I think at that point it comes down to their own personal morality, and if we're going to talk about that, we can talk about on a world scale. I mean, not everybody's going to have great morals. I think that if that's how your values line up, then yeah, go for it. But
yeah, I mean, that's my question really, is just if someone has the ability to, and they're totally healthy and fine, and just to unalive animals for taste at that point, do you think they have a moral obligation to choose a plant-based diet?
If it is sustainable for them, it is healthy for them, and that's how their morals align, then sure, go for it. It's personal choice.
Well, the morals alignment is irrelevant because, I mean, there's a victim involved and there's a victim's perspective to consider, not just personal preference of taste. And that's something that a lot of people have to unpack is these are individuals that we're taking advantage of and exploiting.
All right, so the question to you, Negative, is basically, let's say you were healthy. Let's say you didn't have Crohn's disease and celiac disease. Would you still say that it's an obligation for someone then to avoid animal products and to go vegan?
Then I would have to have a deeper conversation with myself on if that's how I feel. If that's
right. Well, that's why we're here. I want to poke at that, and I want to know what your moral framework would be. It sounds like you do care about what animals go through and that you don't want them to be harmed.
I mean, I would agree to that extent. Would I go to the extent of comparing it to slavery? Probably not.
I mean, that's irrelevant. The point is just noticing that they are a sentient being that is feeling the world. And, if it's unnecessary to rob them of that or to use them, is that not the more moral choice, is to leave them alone, or the moral neutral choice?
I mean, it could be a moral choice, but again, that comes down to, we're going to talk morality on a world scale.
So, but would you agree that it's immoral to take their life when it's unnecessary?
I think that it's immoral how it is now. Kind of relating back to what a prior guest said. I think that if people still want to make the personal choice to eat meat, then that's still a personal choice.
So it's not about the person making the choice, it's about their victim, because someone is experiencing the consequences of that choice and it's being forced on them.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a victim, that's not really a personal choice, is it? A personal choice is picking out what t-shirt you want to wear for the day, not who am I going to unalive today for a snack.
I mean, if you want to make this argument, then if it goes to the point of, oh, well, it's not a victimless crime, et cetera, then I mean, say it's not a farming issue, right? Say it's not a raising and growing cattle issue. I could just go out in the woods and kill a deer. That's just, I mean, I have the natural ability to do that.
So that's why I was saying it's pointless. It's not necessary to do that though, right? Like that's what I was talking about. If you're someone who's healthy, doesn't have the celiacs or the Crohn's, right? Do they have the moral obligation to leave that animal alone as a moral neutral?
Obligation? I would say no. Again, I'm a pretty heavy centralist.
Okay, how about we switch it to human? Do you have a moral obligation to make the moral neutral choice to not harm them?
I served in the military. I can't really answer that question.
So you think...
Ozark is here if Ozark wants to jump in on this, because he was in the military as well.
I sent him a little invite if he wants to.
Hi, I missed part of it. What am I hopping in on?
So we were talking about, is it right to take someone's life? Or I was asking, isn't it the moral obligation to make the moral neutral choice to not harm another human? And I was trying to relate that to the same thing towards animals.
I gotcha. And then I heard something about like my military.
Oh, he said
service
that.
and stuff.
Yeah, he said I'm in the military. I can't comment on that.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, in the military and looking back, like if I were to like try to discuss being consistent, I mean, I would have like at the time justified it because I thought I was fighting a war on terror, and in hindsight, not so much. But being in the military doesn't necessarily like mean that you are for like unnecessary unaliving of other individuals. Like military, I believe to an extent is necessary to protect people and like the country and stuff like that. Are all wars just? Definitely not. So a lot of propaganda that goes around it? Definitely not. But a lot of people that join generally think they're doing it for the right reason, and there is the potential for there to be the right reason. So being in the military, as hard as it is to adhere to vegan ethics, it's still possible to practice it.
Yeah,
You know,
and
while you're
I think
finishing
you got
out
a
your
little
contract.
misconstrued. I'm not active service anymore. I am prior service.
Oh, gotcha. Me too. I'm a
I
combat
agree with you
veteran
on
as
that.
well.
Like, you know, I do think that, you know, a lot of wars are unjust, but that's kind of off topic.
For sure. I was just trying to relate it to ethics, though.
Yeah,
Like, I'm a
I
combat veteran,
understand.
right? You know, and I bought propaganda. I joined thinking I was doing the right thing. My intentions was doing the right thing. Even though in hindsight, I participated in something that I look at as potentially unethical now, I shaped my moral framework around that, right? Like, I took part in all these like very questionable, ethically questionable scenarios, and I don't have to subscribe to that anymore, especially now that I'm aware of it, you know, and that actually helped me shape my mindset towards non human animals as well. Because the way that we talked about our enemy, we use terms like animal, subhuman, stuff like that. We did anything to make them lesser than us, just like we do to other animals.
Yeah, and I do think that in that case, if we're talking about war, I feel like that is a necessity, at least mentally. Outside of that, you know, you have, you know, when you don't make that connection, when you don't alienate an enemy, you know, you see a lot more service members come out with mental issues, whether it be PTSD, depression, etc.
I think most people do come out of combat with it, regardless of what they do, just like slaughterhouse workers come out with high degrees of PTSD. Um, Similar rates to veterans as well, like when it comes to like suicide. Um, you know, it's just, I guess, like not trying to be like demeaning or anything, but it's the lie that we tell ourselves to justify what we do. And most people do the same thing when it comes to like exploiting non-human animals. But the big difference is like they're not out there actively doing it themselves. So it's a lot easier for them to digest.
Yeah, I agree, and that was kind of the point that I was making in a roundabout way was, you know, while people can have, you know, moral disagreements or they feel like they have moral obligations, if you really dial it back to just what it is at its core, I mean, it comes down to personal choice. And you can't just, you know, like I said, there are medical exemptions, like for my case, but I mean, other than that, it's personal choice. You can't just take away someone's personal choice and say, oh, because it's the better of X, Y, and Z. When
Well,
in
I
this
guess
case, I mean, you can say that, but at the same time, if let's say, you know, if we didn't live in houses, or if we went to war again and we had to forage, like most people aren't going to be able to forage pardon me, to sustain themselves. More than likely, they're going to revert to hunting.
sure,
So
but
again,
most people also don't hunt, don't want to hunt, and don't know how to hunt. So I believe that they're just like during hunter-gatherer societies, they're going to be a reliance on a select few to actually do that. So it's not really any different than what we're doing right now, like when it comes to relying on other people to stretch ethics so the rest of the people can like live a certain way. Do you mind if I ask really quick if I was correct in hearing that you had Crohn's?
yes, I do.
So there is a vegan page on here. His name's Flo. He's actually a vegan. He's been a vegan for a while and has Crohn's as well. You know, somebody you can check out if it's something you're interested in. And when we talk about subjective morality and stuff like that, and it coming down to the individual choice, you know, I know everybody is going to have a different moral framework, but a common trend that I come across is a lot of people generally agree with a specific set of morals that their actions don't actually align with. So it's more an issue of their consistency within their own morals. You know, so I guess, can I ask you, like, do you think it is okay to harm other individuals because you want to do it, like for your pleasure?
No, of course not.
Okay, so you know, we can agree that biologically, like, humans are also animals.
Yeah, no, agreed.
So most people on the planet have access to options. So, according to your specific moral framework, they're harming other individuals because they want to for their pleasure, you know, and you sound like you're against that concept.
See, and where I come at it from that is, again, I'm a very, I won't say extreme, but I'm very centralistic when it comes to anything personal choice related. I'm libertarian, like, just
Sure,
if
you
that
can
is
be
their personal choice, then I mean, yes, I can disagree with it all I want, but I cannot force my views on them.
Well, nobody can force any views on anybody, but just hear me out for a second. If Jeffrey Dahmer was a libertarian, would that give him an excuse to eat the humans that he did?
Of course not.
So that's what I'm trying to express here. Like, your moral framework is like, hold on one second, I'm sorry. All right, so sorry about that. The moral framework here is that you don't agree with harming an autonomous individual for your pleasure, but then you're also expressing that, you know, you can't force views upon people. You have a very centrist view, and like being libertarian, that kind of justifies it to some degree, but it really doesn't, right? We can have whatever political philosophy we want when it comes to personal choice, but when it comes down to it, sure, I'll agree that the choice is, everybody has a choice to do what they want. I don't agree with it having a victim, right? So you can be as free as you want, you can make whatever choices you want, but just like our rights when it comes to other people, I don't believe that our personal freedom should extend beyond us and have other victims.
And as much as I would love to agree with that, my only issue there is that, you know, morality is subjective. So I mean, if you go from one culture to another or one continent to the next, you can say that it's, you know, not a victimless crime, etc. But if that's their culture, their morality might not align with that.
I'm sorry about that. My dogs were just going nuts. The delivery drivers here. Do you mind saying that one more time? I really apologize. I just had to shut myself in a room.
It's totally fine. I'm actually running pretty short on time. My point was that as much as I would love to agree with that point, you know, when we talk about morality, it's completely subjective. So when you look at different cultures, different regions, etc., you know, it could be just a thing of, you know, maybe they don't see pardon me, they might not see animals as sentient as, you know, our culture, or they might not see, you know.
Well, I already expressed that I agree with that. You know, I know morals are subjective, but I'm talking about yours specifically, and your morals don't seem to align with that, right? And you already expressed you don't think that it is okay to harm an autonomous being just because we want to do it and we want to experience pleasure from them. You know, I guess my question for you before you go is, if you had evidence that you could, you know, make your actions align more with your beliefs, even considering that you have a health condition, because there's tons of published research on it that plant-based diets actually help mitigate some of the symptoms of Crohn's disease. Is that something that you would consider looking into?
It is. The main reason why it's not an option for me specifically is because Crohn's, you can have an extreme zinc deficiency or not based on your genetics. For me, my zinc deficiency is so bad that I've spoken to many dietitians over the last 10 years. And for me, as it is right now, plant-based is not an option for me.
Well, why don't you just hear me out for a second, all right? There's this website. It's called Challenge 22. there are like tons of plant-based nutritionists. It's free access for 22 days. So you get to talk with a nutritionist and they can help you potentially tailor a diet to your specific lifestyle and needs and requirements and whatnot. You know, if it's something that you actually are interested in looking into and potentially, you know, doing, that's at least a resource for you to check out.
Okay, I'll keep that resource in mind, but I do have to get back to work. I appreciate the conversation. Thank you for having me up.
Yeah, I appreciate you having a chat with all of us. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys being up here. I'm going to grab another guest, and you guys can come and go as you please.
I'm going to hop down and go make breakfast, but I'm going to listen.
Right on. Hey, I appreciate you, though, coming up. Really. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh. Alex, I know you've been in there a minute.
If they don't load, I think there's another one, Mike.
Oh, okay. It looks like...
If they're still here.
Mike Hunt? Mike Hunts. Hey, Mike, how
Hey,
are
how's
you?
it going? 27.
Are you... Why cuddle one and carve the other?
Well, I think everybody can agree that nobody's going to carve a cat.
Well, some cultures they do.
Well,
but
yeah,
I'm asking about your moral moral framework.
Okay. So, the majority of mine would probably come from like anecdotal experience. So, for instance, I haven't eaten a vegetable or probably, I guess, technically a carb in a little over a year. I've been doing kind of I guess technically the carnivore diet. Me and my family, we have for health reasons. My children were both extremely sick, and we couldn't really figure out why. There was actually there was no diagnosis. They were just constantly sick. And I'm not going to say it's because of vegetables or anything like that, but we tried a series of like different, I guess, diets you can call them. We started off with paleo, and it worked a little bit, but our kids have, I guess it's considered severe allergies. Well, so we switched to straight carnivore for like a week. It wasn't intentional. And since then they don't have problems. They're normal functioning kids. And I think a lot of that we can attribute to dyes in food. So it's not so much vegetables, like I said. But meat has definitely played a big part. And I think that there's a logical fallacy, and I'm not saying your argument, but in the general argument that you can't ethically and sustainably eat animals.
Okay, let's start with the diet part because we don't want to spend too much on diet because we do have resources where you can explore diet further. The reason why the carnivore diet does work for some people is because it eliminates a lot of food groups. And it's not so much about food dyes and such, it's more has to do with there are certain foods that some people may be intolerant to. Because I did a gut microbiome test and I actually found out I'm intolerant to broccoli. And for some reason growing up, you know, I just never really did like broccoli. I never understood why, but then I found out I'm actually intolerant. So yeah, that's why carnivore usually works for a lot of people is it eliminates all the food groups that are potentially causing issues when there's a more sustainable way to go about it, like actually doing like gut tests, finding out what like intolerances are. I mean, it can be kind of complicated, especially if your whole family's having issues. So I would check out challenge22.com, and it's a free resource to like consult with like dietitians on plant-based diets. But long term,
I use some of these. I use Cronometer every day.
Yeah, for sure. But long term, the carnivore diet really isn't best for humans because you know our diet does need fiber and like does need a lot of plant-based for microbiome health.
Absolutely, and like I said, I do carnivore. My children, they don't. They do eat a lot of meat, but they don't. My kids are allowed to eat normal kid stuff. You know, if they want a glass of juice, they get juice. I mean, they're not restricted. But I agree, the carnivore diet is restrictive. But I don't know. It's hard for me to kind of wrap my mind around people who go without zero meat. For instance, I know that a lot of people don't have access to the things that I do. I live in rural Texas in the middle of nowhere. And I have a couple 100 acres. So we have lots of chicken. We have a couple goats and we have a few cows. And
yeah, I mean, honestly, the U.S. eats most of their protein. I think probably about almost 70% of their protein from meat, and that's like abnormal. Most other countries, especially Africa, eat 80% plus of their protein from plants. So we are kind of special in the sense that we're eating more like meat than other countries. But long term, the carnivore diet specifically isn't really sustainable for human health because obviously it's a very restrictive diet. So I would say people usually do have to use it like in your situation to try to reduce all of the foods that they're potentially like reacting to. And then I would say start from that baseline there and just add like food slowly. But a dietitian will like be happy to go over kind of the process with you because I know food intolerances can really suck.
Right, which I'm not going to say that that's the only reason I eat meat. I mean, obviously the vast majority of people do, and so even if I was to be able to eat normally and feel great, I would still probably eat meat. I can't conceptually agree with eating meat is bad. For instance, every morning, or not every morning, but most mornings, probably twice a week, we'll go out and we'll collect eggs.
Right.
You know,
I mean, but that's a culture that you've been brought up in and normalized in. I mean, I grew up on a farm and have been on a farm hunting, fishing, etc. for like almost 20 years, and that was like normal. But then once I started actually reflecting on these practices, why we were taught that, and that kind of leads us into more the ethical argument, and I'll let vegan stoner lady take over from here.
Yeah. So that's kind of why I'm here, is to be like, you know, if you knew that you could be healthy on a plant-based diet and know that you don't need to buy leather or cosmetics that are shoved in someone's eyes, you know, would you then consider changing your lifestyle to live vegan?
No, I don't think I would, simply because a big part of bringing our children up, for instance, teaching them responsibility, the easiest way for me has been in the mornings you go out and you feed and you collect eggs. It's like it's a family.
But that's just your habits. You can change those.
Right, I could, but for instance,
Right.
if I was
So since you can, you need to figure out the why, right? So do you know what the chickens had to go through before you got them?
Well, what do you explain, please?
Yeah. Well, first tell me, I guess, where did you source your chickens?
Most of them, I'm trying to think. Most of them we got from a farmer that lives here, and then I think the first 20 or so we got from a store, a big box store.
Okay. Do they mostly lay eggs every day or every other day?
Every other day.
Okay. So in the wild, their wild ancestor maybe had 15 eggs in a whole year. And it was only during a part of the year. It wasn't even every month. Now they lay over 300 eggs, or up to sometimes. But that's way more frequent than they were before. So already there's been a cruelty bred into their body. It takes a lot of calcium and other resources to produce one egg. So you have to feed them lots of minerals to make up for that. Otherwise, they die too early. So there's cruelty there as well. In addition, you're taking someone and making their purpose be for you. So that's really the ultimate. You're exploiting someone for your benefit.
I mean, I kind of see your argument, but it's also hard for me to understand the ethical part of it. Whenever I know, like I said, I know the majority of chickens that you go get at the store, it's factory farming. And I think everybody can agree that their moral compass for factory farming.
Okay, I'll put it this way. Do you think that animals are sentient? Do you think there's an individual in their bodies experiencing the world and making preferences on those experiences?
To a certain extent, yes.
Okay. What then justifies taking that away from them?
Well, I mean, it's the same kind of argument if you were to reverse it and say, what right do we have to cultivate on land and clear land for crops?
To survive.
Then it would be the same. It would be the same answer for animals.
But we have to grow more plants to feed these animals, and I'm saying we can just eat the plants directly and not exploit the animals.
Right, but if these animals are already exploited, and for instance, let's say my chickens, like we talked about, I'm not out there abusing them. I'm not out there, artificially inseminating.
That doesn't matter.
Just do whatever they want. Right, they do whatever they want, right? And I'm collecting their eggs. If I wasn't going to collect their eggs, somebody else would, and they would continue to lay that many eggs per day, right?
But see, the thing is, because of where you source them, you're telling whoever gave you the egg or the chickens, that you'll gladly accept chickens that give you eggs. So you're putting in a demand for more birds to be bred into existence to be used.
I see what you're
And
saying,
on
but
top of that, you're
argument.
also advertising that it's great to enslave these beings, so then other people want to do it.
I just don't think that argument is any more or less ethical than, for instance, do you go to any kind of grocery store and buy anything?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so do you know who owns the vast majority of everything in big box stores?
Yeah, I understand that we live in capitalism. Yes.
Right, BlackRock, Vanguard, JP Morgan. So if you're buying something from the
It
store,
has nothing to do though with the
owns,
principle of
you're
not
also-
exploiting someone directly.
but you're directly exploiting them by giving the company money that also exploits animals. I mean, it's the same argument.
It's not though. So I'll break it down for you though. For an animal product, you 100% have to have someone be exploited for sure. In the mess that you just mentioned, you don't even have facts behind you. You just know that there's sometimes some labor abuses or something not done right, right?
No, that's
but
not
100%. Okay, no. I'm trying to show you that when you support animal products, you're directly paying for another animal to go through that system. When I give my money to a grocery store, I, as a consumer, am telling that corporation I want them to restock this product because that's the power I have as a consumer.
You're correct, but your money is going to the company that's paying to exploit animals.
I can choose where to put my money, right? So if you decide you want to go to a grocery store that you know for a fact does not have labor abuses, then do that.
I think you're missing what I'm saying. So, for instance, if I go
think
down
you're missing what I'm saying. I'm saying when you have options, you should consider what's more moral. When there's a victim involved, if you agree that using someone without their consent is wrong, and you have an option between an object that does that and an object that doesn't, you have the moral obligation to choose the object that doesn't.
Right, but if both objects are being sold by the same person who exploits the animal, the money is irrelevant to which one it's going
Okay,
towards.
so then what power do you have if not to tell that person, hey, don't harm animals anymore?
Your power would be in self-sufficiency. Grow your own vegetables. Don't go to the grocery store.
Okay, but it's still the same thing, right? Same thing. You're taking your demand away from it.
Correct.
That's my point. That's my point. That's what veganism is well, that's an action of veganism, is to abstain from supporting that.
Right, but if you're still buying things from conglomerates that own factory farming,
but
then
that has nothing to do. No. So if I was told, if someone was able to draw a direct line that my dollar is going towards direct exploitation, I will stop. If you can show me that evidence that my direct dollar going to my grocery store paying for plant-based products is going directly to someone's exploitation always and has to have that ingredient in there, I will stop using that. Because that's what I think humans should do. We shouldn't be exploiting others for our benefit, especially when it's unnecessary.
And in fact, when we go to grocery stores and buy plant-based products, the store is taking notice of which products are selling better. Walmart, for example, I actually am acquaintances with one of the executives for here in Arkansas, and he said that their plant-based section is about to really blow up because they've noticed a huge consumer demand wanting more plant-based products. So I would say because people are buying more plant-based products, more of their interest and investments are actually going towards more plant-based food sources.
Listen, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they still own a leg of their company that owns factory farming.
Well, we don't live in a vegan world. We're in a transition period. So it's just...
Right, but the argument that my dollar needs to be spent, my dollar's being spent wrong, or I'm doing things unethically because I own chickens is the same argument as you giving your money to a company who in turn also owns factory farming and kills animals. That's the same argument.
So what I'm saying is that I'm not supporting any exploitation, even backyard exploitation. I'm saying that I'm supporting the peace with the plant and what's available to me. I don't necessarily have space, the resources to garden myself. So what is someone that most people don't have access to a garden? What are you trying to say? That they should go out into some random patch of the forest and survive?
Yeah, the majority of humans don't have resources to be self-sufficient. That's not our infrastructure whatsoever, Mike. It's like the majority of people
it's not unfeasible. That's exactly what I did.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to say that the majority of people don't have the means or access or ability to be self-sufficient and like run a farm. That's why we're gonna have to change the food industry in general to like make up for that and make better practices. But currently, right now, like some people live in apartments and they can't like go out and grow food. So it's not a really logical advice for people to, hey, to reduce your harm, we have to go be more self-sufficient. Yeah, for those who can, should, if they have the land and ability and means to, but not everyone has that.
But they can make it. That's one good thing about America is if you want that, you can obtain that. I didn't always own all this land. I always didn't live in the middle of nowhere. I lived in a big city, and we noticed a lot of things going on in the world that we did not like, and so we saved our money, worked our ass off, and made it possible for us to be able to live the way we want to live.
I mean, it works for some people, but like I said, there's so many millions of Americans. If we told everyone to go out and buy land, we would be invading on more wild territory of people wanting to have small farms to raise livestock and do whatever. So it's just not a really practical solution. The practical solution would be changing, I guess, the foods we're demanding to and telling large businesses and such that, hey, we're not into the factory farming animals anymore. We want more plant-based food. I mean, that's a more realistic, solution for people, especially that live in more urban areas.
Well, but if your argument is that it's unethical to take up more land away from animals, I mean, that's exactly what expanding growing crops would do.
What's the data on that? Because everything I've seen have shown a plant-based food system will reduce our agriculture land use by 75%.
If you stripped away cattle farming, it would, maybe, but still probably not likely.
Cattle farming is not even the majority of the land. I mean, it's a lot of pasture land, but encouraging people to go out and create more pasture land for having small farms and a self-sufficient food system, it's just not realistic. I would say just converting to a plant-based food system would free up a lot more territory.
Okay, so what vegetarian foods would you say you would mainly consume if you were self-sufficient?
Plants, beans, legumes, grains.
Okay, so so for instance, I don't know a whole lot about a ton of plants. The main thing we grow around here is soybean. So for instance, if you were going to eat nothing but soybean,
soybeans are great.
Okay, I don't disagree, but the way that they process them, it's not good for the environment.
Yeah, so currently the statistics on soy, most of them are grown through factory farming monocropping methods that are, controlled by usually outside companies. Only like 5% of current soy being grown is grown with sustainability practices. But the majority
even
is grown
if it's sustainable, they're still spraying glyphosate, which is not good for your soil or your water under your soil.
Okay, so the thing is, humans only consume, 5-6% of soy currently? Like 80% is about going towards livestock animals. So again, a plant-based system will reduce the soy crops. It wouldn't expand it.
No. What I'm saying is if you're expanding on it, all you're doing is hurting the environment even more. They spray glyphosate, which in turn contaminates your soil, contaminates your water under your soil.
Yeah, and there's some growing methods that you don't have to use glyphosate. This is just very small minority of soy is currently being grown with more sustainable like ag measures. The majority is done with these monocropping methods because most of it's going to like animal feed.
Right, which the monocrop stuff. I don't really know about that. Everybody here that lives around where I'm at that I'm exposed to is mostly generational farming. It's not big money farming. And even every farmer around here still sprays glyphosate because it saves their crop. And if these farmers don't spray that, then they will end up being homeless, honestly. One drought or one crop overtaken by weeds that they can't harvest puts the farmers out of business. So generations of their family could be gone in one summer if they don't spray these chemicals, which do hurt the environment. So if you were to expand all these operations to grow more, for instance, soybean, to try to make the whole world sufficient enough to only eat soybean or vegetables, whatever vegetables you use, they're going to spray glyphosate, and it's going to in turn make your soil less fertile every time.
Right. We don't need to use glyphosate. It's just an herbicide.
Yes, exactly. They have to use glyphosate. If not, their fields will get overtaken by weeds and they cannot grow.
And there will be some farming practices that we will still have to continue, but I'm saying that there's going to be so much less if we didn't have all the chickens and pigs to feed on top of the, humans. We'll be using less of these harmful crops on a plant-based system.
But why would the argument turn from trying to turn the world ethical to only doing a couple unethical things for how we want to live?
Down to
I mean,
like survival. I mean, there's some crop methods that we'll still have to do. I mean, but plant-based ag is something that can actually develop and like change to where we're not harming anything. But animal ag, it's going to demand so much more crops. It's always going to have a victim. The water resource use is insane. There's not really a way we can make it any better than what we're currently doing.
I mean, there absolutely is. Quit putting animals in a 100-yard facility and shoving them full of chemicals and artificial foods, and then trying to put them on our plate. Everybody
it's just they have to meet the demand. This is currently the rate that we have to grow these animals to meet the demand for hundreds of millions of people.
Right. Well, a lot of that leads back to self-accountability and self-responsibility. Why should you rely on a McDonald's or a grocery store to make sure that you're fed? It's feasible for every American.
No, it's not feasible for every American because not everyone can have a cow and a pig in their backyard and have these breeding operations. Like most humans currently live in an urban setting. And if we told everyone, hey, go out and buy a couple acres, humans would spread. We would take up more wild territory than what we're doing now. This is the most concentrated way we can efficiently provide the demand for Americans.
You think the most efficient way to feed Americans would to be do nothing but grow food on land and spray chemicals to hurt our environment?
I mean, the environment's being hurt now by growing more crops than we have to because we're feeding millions of chickens and pigs. Then we have all the waste from the chickens and pigs being contributed to a lot of issues. And we have to give these animals antibiotics and all these so-called chemicals, you say, because of the way that we have to raise them to meet the demand. Like, it's insane how many millions of animals have to be unalive per year just to feed everyone currently. It's a very wasteful, inefficient system. So I'd say the system currently is inefficient because it's animal ag based. It's not plant based.
I mean, I guess I can kind of see what you're saying, but you don't think ultimately it would turn into the exact same thing if you had humans running these crop operations to try to feed everybody only using vegan foods?
We'd be using a lot less crops, but we do have a good resource, Our World in Data, if you wanted to look at some of the statistics and some of the papers that are actually discussing this.
Well, it would all be hypothetical. You can't give anything solid and concrete because it's never been done.
I mean, it's just based on our world data and like the current, it looks at what we're currently doing to source all these products, and then on a plant-based system, what it would look like in comparison. And there's a lot of data and science that goes into it if you want to look at it yourself.
Well, I mean, I don't know exactly which one you're talking about. I probably haven't seen it. I've seen some, and I'm not going to say that they're all completely wrong, but a lot of them are using the anecdotal evidence that you gave, not real world evidence of what small town America, how they operate. The world might operate off of factory farming, but that's because I don't know where you live. Densely populated cities, like you said, they don't have access to an acre, and they're still going to go out and they're going to eat their McDonald's, they're going to eat their Taco Bell. So they're going to get their stats from these big farming operations, not your day-to-day.
I mean, small farmers can't feed the current population at the rate that we have to. That's what I'm saying. That's how enormous our consumption is right now, especially of animal products. Like the calories it takes from crops and water. We can't make everyone in urban areas that are doctors and attorneys and lawyers and like all these other like important infrastructures in like our economy to go out and start like small farms themselves. Like we just don't have the space. So that's why I say it's just going to be more efficient to go to a plant-based system. We can have more urban crops and urban development and, you know, be more sustainable in a lot of ways, but we can't be much more sustainable if we're going to be giving everyone pieces of animal on top of that.
Hey, vegan, or either one of y'all, do y'all have y'all's computer in front of y'all?
Yes.
Would you mind searching? I can probably do it. I don't know if it'll get me off the live if I exit it out. Just search how many acres is the United States. I actually don't know.
The acres?
Yeah, how many square acres is the United States?
Probably a better statistic would be currently looking at the agriculture land, like the arable land and such that is actually able to be used for agriculture. Because there's a lot of the United States that
Well, but there's also thousands of acres that are not considered agricultural land because they're owned by big companies. For instance, ExxonMobil. All of my land isn't considered ag land because ExxonMobil has one pump jack on my land that pumps natural gas, but we have close to 2,000 acres in total on a piece of our property that is all ag land. So that's why I wanted to know the entire acreage of the United States.
There are 2.43 billion acres of the United States, all 50 states, including District of Columbia.
Okay,
It
and
says
what's our
900.
population directly? Sorry.
It's like 300 something. I don't know off the top of my head. Let's say 300. I don't know.
I think it's like 300 or 350 million.
Almost 350 million.
Okay, so if we have however 3 billion acres of land and 353 million people,
the United States was 2.43 billion. What was the number you were saying? I think I mixed something up.
350 million people, 2.4 billion acres.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna. Mothy said that not all land in the U.S. is suitable for agriculture. That's
right.
Correct.
Only 915 million acres are agricultural land.
Correct. Now, who owns the majority of them?
Oh, I don't know. This isn't about corporate greed or whatever. This is about you supporting someone's exploitation.
Right. So, would you say that what I'm doing on my homestead is exploitation?
Yes.
How could you? Okay, then let's switch that.
Because you're using someone for your purpose without their consent. You're forcing your purpose on somebody else.
So that would then the argument would depend on how you define consent. Because my argument to this would be
consent is somebody saying yes, do this to me.
So if you're saying the way I live is unethical, correct? I'm just
when you don't need to, yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna assume. I don't know how you live. I'm just gonna assume that you get your groceries from a big box grocery store. You probably order things off Amazon. So would you?
I
would
don't
you
use
say
Amazon, but I do go to a grocery store.
So would you say that any of their workers are exploited?
Oh yeah, I don't use Amazon specifically for that reason, but again, you can have a delivery system without exploitation. That's why delivery is not anti-vegan, but using an animal is direct exploitation. That's why that's not vegan.
I just have a hard time. I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm stealing eggs from an animal who
you can't get eggs without exploiting a chicken. You can get a package without exploiting a person.
Well, that would dive into a deeper argument, which that's way off.
No, it's that simple. It really is that simple. When you purchase when you use an animal in any fashion, you're not getting their consent. We cannot reliably communicate with them. So there's no consent happening. You cannot use someone who cannot consent morally. Obviously, if you're in a survival situation, you can justify actions that are considered immoral. But most people have access to other options, and they're still making this choice. And that, to me, is hypocritical because they themselves wouldn't go through it, and they often have the same principle that using someone that can't consent is immoral. So I don't understand why is it different.
I just find the logic behind how we get all of our fruits and vegetables and things to the grocery store and where we get them from and how they're sourced is more ethical than.
How can I make that better?
To live a better life.
How can we as consumers have a better crop harvesting? How can we as consumers fight for that?
Well, for instance, do what I did. I moved out of the big city. I moved to the middle.
But see, you're just taking your demand away. You could put it towards other people because not everyone has money to go get land. Like, it's very privileged to be able to go get land.
I don't see how. You have the ability to make $1 just as well as I do.
Okay, so why do most Americans then choose to be poor and live in apartments?
Well, to be completely honest, if you don't want to have a deep, long conversation about that, it's complacency.
Oh. Mike, just tell me why you can't. I don't even want to go down that with you right now. Why are you allowed to take someone's life when you don't need to?
I mean, that's a bit of a stretch. I mean, it's an animal, not
No,
it's not
it's
a human.
straightforward. Why are you allowed to do that? What morally justifies it? Why is it okay?
What would morally justify you paying for somebody to decrease the value of my land by spraying chemicals for your vegetables? I mean, it's the same argument.
I never said that, though. I never said that. Never said that. You don't need glyphosate to grow soybeans.
Tell that. I would bet money that 99.9% of farmers use glyphosate.
Mike, we've already been over this. We'd use a lot less soy on a plant-based system. Can you address your question?
What justifies you using animals?
It's a very sufficient way for me to live.
Okay, but I could use my neighbor. That's a very sufficient, easy, convenient way for me to live too. Is that moral?
But how many neighbors do you have? Is it sustainable?
Yeah, I've got a lot of neighbors.
Okay, so whenever you kill all of your neighbors, how many neighbors will you have left?
You don't have to kill them. You just have to go take their groceries. Just take their groceries.
That too. That's even easier. I like that plan better. It's less messy.
So you see zero difference between a human and an animal?
I don't see a moral difference.
If your whole argument is only about a single moral difference, it's not about the environment, and it's only about morality, then the entire argument of why cuddle one and why carve one is a fallacy. You'll never come to an agreement with anyone.
What fallacy is it? You keep saying fallacy. What fallacy is it?
What's the point of an argument if there will be zero result at the end?
The result is that you should consider that you're living hypocritically, because it sounds like you do have some struggle. Like, I'm sure you do care what happens to animals. If you saw someone abusing their dog on the sidewalk, you might speak up or at least feel that's immoral.
Well, yeah, I'm not. I don't abuse.
I'm just here saying the animals that you use, it's the same thing because it's unnecessary to use them. So you're actually just taking their life or using them for your pleasure and entertainment. And I'm telling you, it's the same thing as someone kicking a dog on the side of the street.
I'm not using them for entertainment. I mean, if you want to be technical, I guess technically by the definition,
you can live with
survival.
Humans can thrive on a plant-based diet. So since we can thrive on a plant-based diet, it's unnecessary to put the animals through this.
But wouldn't the same argument be that humans can thrive on a meat-based diet? So why are we wasting land?
No, because using animals. Okay, first of all, we've already talked about that we'd have to increase our land use if everyone was to have free-range animals or even to hunt. We would destroy. I'll give you the numbers. Our mammal biomass is only made up 4% of wild mammals, but it is 60% livestock. So you're going to have the whole world eliminate wildlife within a year or so. So that's why that's not sustainable. The land use we have right now, 83% of our current land, ag land, is dedicated to raising animals for their flesh secretions and their food. So we're already at extreme capacity for our ag land use. We could reduce that by 75% and feed more people. Use less glyphosate. And fewer animals are bred into existence and don't have to experience going up to the knife, which is the whole point. The whole, if you were talking to somebody that was for slavery because it was convenient for them, because it brought down the price of goods, what would you say to them for them to make the connection to purchase the alternatives to not support slavery so that we could liberate the slaves? What would you say to them? Did something happen? Mike, you're muted. Mike? Uh-oh, did you go away? It won't let me send you an invite to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we lived in a world where everyone can have the option to have a small farm and just have a hobby, rescue chickens and grow a bunch of their own food. But it's just, we just can't do that. It's just, our economy needs people in the cities to do all these crazy jobs too. And yeah, there's a lot wrong with our grocery stores, our food system, but I feel like once we understand exploitation of non-humans is wrong, it'll make the human rights issues that exist a lot easier to tackle as well. Like, it's just a lot of these will kind of go hand in hand because we're just changing people's mindset about it's okay to exploit someone if I profit from it.
Yeah, exactly. Bring up Lori. Hey, Lori, you've been trying to get up here so many times, and I'm so sorry.
We need to stop demonizing people because they supported a man who just became president.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Yeah. Oh, is your TV on? Sorry.
Yes, I'm turning it down right now.
Cool. Right on. Appreciate you.
Sorry about that.
You're great. Appreciate you having you up here on the panel, actually.
Oh, no. Yeah, thanks a lot for bringing me up. I'm just like reading through what people are saying and stuff like that. But I agree with you guys totally. We really need to, if we could reduce the land population, we could use, I mean, we would have a better source with plants, easier growing. You know, they're hydroponic. You can grow them anywhere. Even in suburban cities, you can grow your own vegetables and things like that. And I agree with you guys. Yeah, we are really over exploiting land, and it's causing more problems than anything.
Yeah. I do think, people should try to grow something just to keep the practice alive at least, to grow stuff. But
yeah, sure.
But I definitely. I just don't think most people have access to the resources.
No, right. You're right. It would take a little bit, but if we could get it switched around where we're on a plant-based diet, things would change dramatically, and it would be so much better for the world and the people and everything else, and
animals.
Yeah, and the animals. Yeah, and it's like yes, we use glyphosate and things like that, but we probably wouldn't have to use it and do other methods.
There's alternatives. I mean, organic farming, crop rotation, some kind of other weed management. There's even other herbicides. But
right, and the thing is,
the point is the mindset change first.
Exactly, and it cracks me up when people who eat animals or continue to eat animals make the excuse that they have to survive off that, which, like the one guy said, a long time ago, it was it wasn't eaten as much as it is today. And it's just, gotten overwhelming. This is just, people don't realize how many animals are killed a second.
Yeah.
They don't.
I don't even remember what it is a second right now. I did know at one point, but it changes, so I don't remember what it is.
And it's just a terrible thing. People with a Crohn's disease. I have friends that are vegans that have Crohn's disease, and they have no problem. Yes, they do take supplements, and that's not a big deal. I don't know why people are so against taking supplements too. That's what they're there for.
I like the idea of a supplement because I don't always eat properly, so I like that I can still get my nutrients and sometimes eat garbage vegan junk food.
Yeah, exactly. And the vegan junk food is very good.
It is.
It's all good.
Yes, it is.
It's all good. And I had posted it a little bit ago. It's kind of funny that a doctor who is a urologist did a test on men who are in sports that are pretty healthy wise, but they still eat meat. He did a test on them to show them the difference in what happens in their sleeping patterns when they eat meat as opposed to eating vegan food.
Game changers.
Big time. And if you guys want your erections bigger and longer, start eating plants, because it's already been shown that it happens.
I feel like that was the highlight of the documentary Game Changers, was the difference between the plant-based burrito and the meat-based burrito and their ED.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was an interesting clip.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to bring up another guest.
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks for bringing me up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not a problem. All right, let's check it out. Let's see. Let's do K. Okay, are you over 18?
Yes, I am. I actually
what year
just
were you-
turned 21 November 8th, so that's pretty cool.
What year were you born?
2003.
All right, awesome, and happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Now, I'm more of... see, I don't know how to phrase this to where you would be able to understand. I don't like eating meat sometimes. However, I do have to eat meat because that's what my doctor has told me, because I was a victim of an abusive relationship for not only once but twice. And so my stomach has shrunk, and the only way for me to be able to get my weight back after all this time is to eat high protein, and it doesn't work with vegetarian foods with me. It doesn't mean that I don't like not eat vegetables or not eat meat, but I just don't eat it as much as I probably should because of my dietary restrictions set by my doctor. What would you say to the people who have really no choice but to eat meat to be able to gain weight?
I don't know if Lydia wanted to jump in. I saw you turn your...
I'm sorry you had to go through all that. That could be such a struggle to deal with. If you specifically have dietary concerns, because we really just try to talk about the ethics. We do understand that there may be some people with eating disorders or specific conditions where they cannot go fully plant-based diet-wise. I usually direct them to challenge22.com to talk to dietitians. Because if they don't think that it'll be best for you to try to do a plant-based diet based on your needs, that's okay. You have to take care of your health. But there are other things outside of diet that you can control, like using animals for entertainment, animal product testing, and so on. So do you think that...
No, I agree. I agree with that. I agree that some of the things in our society today shouldn't be going on, especially with animals, but I do believe that if we don't, for hunting season for deer, if we don't control that population, it will be way overturned. We will have way more deer than we probably should. That's some things that I can agree with.
So the hunting thing is a whole nother topic. A lot of it is misinformation because people really want to go hunting and continue that culture. So there's a lot of things, alternatives I've seen developed as far as population control. But if you want to go ahead and take over, Anna, Strar's coming in to tell me something. So
Absolutely. Yeah. So the whole point that we're here is to focus on the animals, because they're the victims. After all, they're the ones that have to live with the consequences or not live with the consequences of our choices. And we recognize that they're a sentient being experiencing the world. So if we have alternatives, it's unnecessary then to subject them to the scariest moment of their whole life.
That's true. I can 100% agree with that. My main thing is that I don't appreciate when somebody who is vegan pushes you to become a vegan and they don't know your history, they don't know your story, and they don't know your dietary stuff. That is my main concern.
Well, I don't know what they were saying to you, but if from what you've said, and me coming from my perspective, I do think that anybody can be vegan because it's about your mindset. It's about what you genuinely want to do. Do you want to cause an animal suffering for your benefit? Or do you want to find some way to not do that? And someone who's vegan that maybe is for some reason necessary for them to use an animal, they will make that as temporary as possible and always try to find an alternative. Versus accepting that this is the way it is and never looking to make change because you still are seeing the animals as resources and that it's acceptable to use them instead of being like, wow, I don't have the choice right now. That's really upsetting. I'm going to be a squeaky wheel to get an alternative, or I'm going to always be on the lookout for an alternative. That would be more of a vegan mindset. Go ahead, Sarah.
I've always looked for like an alternative because me personally, I do not like red meat. I hate it. I will only eat it on very rare occasions.
Okay, so I guess the question is, if it was dog meat, would you eat it?
No, but farm animals and pets
What
are
if it was
different.
a farm dog? They farm the dogs specifically for their flesh.
Well, in some other countries they do that. They do that
I
because
know,
it's choice.
I know, but you're saying I was trying to relate it to your casual use of red meat, and I was trying to say, well, what if that casual use was dog meat instead? I was just trying to replace that. So the same convenience.
If
However,
I had no other choice, I probably would.
So in the times that you've eaten the red meat, was there no other choice?
Yes.
And you were gonna starve? You hadn't eaten for a long time?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if you're doing it for survival, that's one thing. But if you have a choice and you're still making the choice to use them, you're seeing them as a resource. And if you're not genuinely looking for an alternative, which we gave you a resource, then, you're just paying lip service. Like, you're not genuinely looking for an alternative.
Okay.
So would you be willing to check out Challenge 22?
I definitely will take a look at it, but like I said, with my doctor and he's
So doctors are not trained in nutrition. These are professionals in relating diet to health.
I was getting a phone call. My medical professionals, which I do have a dietitian, he has said that I will not be able to go on a vegan diet because of how my internal organs have suffered so much damage from my abusive relationship. And not only
I think you need to get a second opinion. You should go to Challenge 22 and talk to those dietitians.
All right.
All right, I have one more question for you. Let's say that you didn't have these tummy issues or your intestine issues, excuse me. Would you then go vegan?
Probably to a certain extent, but not fully, because again, I enjoy certain things. Like some of the things that I enjoy is I like deer jerky.
Okay.
That's something.
What if I enjoy kicking dogs? It gives me exercise, it gives me entertainment. Is that morally okay?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I've been in an abusive relationship where my dog and my cat were beat the crap out of.
If that's abusive,
I let you talk.
Okay.
Because what it stands for is that there are multiple farming industries out there that do not hurt animals.
You have to use animals to get their products, period. There is no nice way to exploit someone.
But they're not a someone. They don't have sentience. They don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they.
It is scientific. It is a scientific consensus. Go look up the Cambridge Declaration of Consciousness, the New York Declaration of Consciousness, any animal welfare policy in any country. They all recognize that animals feel pain and prefer not to, which is a sign of sentience.
A statement for any living being, but they don't have the.
Plants are not sentient. Animals are, so there's no reason to cause them suffering when we can live off of plants.
But for the people who can't, like me.
Okay, so that's why I asked you, do you think those that can go vegan should, for the moral obligation to not use animals when it's unnecessary?
If that's something that they want to do and they want to do it.
I'm asking you, in your moral framework, do you think it is the morally right choice to not take the life of an animal when it's unnecessary?
I think it's moral for humans, sentient beings, who actually have more.
Animals are sentient. You're referring to intelligence, but we have some humans that are not intelligent. We still protect them. Just because they're not aware or can't reciprocate morals doesn't mean we can exploit those humans. Animals are the same way. They're sentient beings making preferences about their experiences. We shouldn't abuse and exploit them, just like we don't exploit and abuse humans that don't maybe share the same way that we think.
Okay, well then here's one way to put it: natural selection.
Okay, again, that's might makes right. I just showed you that we don't think that's right as we protect those that are vulnerable, those that can't defend themselves. So why is it okay to harm a chicken but not someone who has limited mental capacity?
So are you going to hurt
No, I want you to answer the question. I want you to answer the question. What is the moral difference between someone who can't reciprocate morals and an animal? What's the moral justification that I can stab one but not the other?
other than the fact that they were born human? That's
What
the
does
difference.
that mean, though? A human is just a name that we've given ourselves. We are animals. We just have slightly different intelligence. Excuse me.
We have a very different intelligence from animals.
But we have humans that are not to our intelligence. They can't do anything but be taken care of. We still protect them. We find it immoral to exploit them. Do you agree?
In humans, yes.
Okay, so why is that human special? What makes it special?
The fact that we own this planet now.
It's just simply the fact that they're sentient. I mean, that's why we value and see value in protecting them and not exploiting them. They're sentient and they're having an experience.
Why don't you want it done to you, Kay? Why would you think it's immoral for someone to exploit and use you without your consent?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Fuck you for asking.
An alien comes down and wants to use your body. You think that's going to be moral? F you for asking. You mean a question that tests your logic?
I mean, it's just considered, like, from this perspective, you saying that if a human just wants to, it's okay for them to do it when they're, artificially inseminating animals, forcing them to breed, forcing them to, like, be on these farms, forcing them into a slaughterhouse. All these things have to happen. It's exploitation.
Yeah, exactly. The whole point is if you can make that choice, you're literally just choosing them between the entertainment of your taste buds or, taking someone's entire life. Or even any other exploitation for their flesh even, taking their whole life for your fashion, their whole life so that you could put eye makeup on. Anyway, I'm trying to be clear that veganism isn't just about diet either. It's about everything, you don't even go to the zoo.
Yeah, there's been a lot of diet talk today. I'm just like, come on, guys.
I know, that's why I appreciate you saying, like, no. No, that's not why we're here.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring someone else up. Okay, I think, Sadar, you've been there for a minute. Hey,
Hello.
are you over 18? Hi.
I'm 31,
you're
born October 9, 1992.
It says you have low service, but I can hear you right now.
Okay, yeah, it's coming in on this end too. I'm in a building that's kind of wonky sometimes. Okay, so a few different points, and I get that veganism is mainly based off lifestyle, but a lot of people do associate it with dietary.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's not even a lifestyle. It's about just being against exploitation.
But here's my question.
Okay, I was like, whew, that was loud.
It was like a rave party all of a sudden.
Yeah. I'll give you another minute. Well, like 30 seconds. Yeah? No? Maybe? You coming back?
I guess he got a call or something, maybe.
Yeah. You're welcome to try to come back on. I know you waited for a minute, so. Unless that was it. Maybe he's just dropping a beat for us. Okay. Shoot, guys. I lost track. I'm gonna grab from the top this time. Est? I don't know. I can't see the whole name. Estawa? Oh, you muted yourself.
Yep. Oh, yeah, because my partner's phone was playing music. I just asked her to pause it.
Cool. So, why? Oh, actually, first, are you over 18?
Yeah, I'm 37.
Beautiful. Why cuddle one and carve the other?
So I guess I'd have to ask, like, is this like a moral argument from your side? So it's
Yes.
like feelings based and
I wouldn't say
subjective or
feelings
objective?
based, but I am using your moral framework, not mine. So I'm asking, in your moral framework, why do you cuddle one of these babies but want to carve the other?
I think domesticating any pet was silly. I think that was like a status symbol, like a wealth symbol originally.
I don't disagree with you there.
I think that was silly. Like, I've got to admit straight off the bat that, like, I'm a dairy farmer, so I've got 600 Jersey cattle, 3,000 sheep,
Wait.
2
So
Scottish
you're
Highlands.
I just want to, just because it sounds funny, you said that you're against the domestication of animals, but you have a ton of domesticated
for
animals.
pets. I said for pets. I said domesticating pets.
I mean, what's the
like,
difference,
just
right?
follow,
They're still
but
being used.
there's a big difference. There's a big difference.
Okay.
There's a big difference.
ahead.
So when I say words, like, I am pretty careful about the words I use and how I like structure them. So, like, to misstate me frustrates me a little bit because it's a little bit disingenuous straight off the bat. We've only been talking for 1 minute, so I definitely said to domesticate pets. I believe that, I understand that a lot of farms aren't great, don't have great practices. I can vouch. I'm a live streamer, so I can vouch that, like, our cows are spoiled. Like, our cows are galloping and running to me when I walk in the paddock. They have no problem walking into the parlor. They absolutely love it, and they love their life. If they were left alone in the wild, they would be lame. They would have mastitis. They would be in a lot of trouble. So, like,
Yeah, but
I
the
think
question
that
is,
if
how
there
did they
is-
get there?
How did they get to my farm?
Yeah.
They were born here.
Yeah, they were forced bred, and they were selectively bred so that they overproduce
Well-
things that you want.
Well, to be fair, we just put our bulls out. I just uploaded a video the other day, actually. Our bulls.
Right, again.
It's
So
mating.
if we did the same thing with humans, we would call that something.
So what we would do is we would put humans into the equivalent of a farm, which would be a civilization, like city society, and then they would, if wanted and if their nature
They're
wanted,
not
they
in
would
a
breed. That's
society.
exactly what we do. No, but that's exactly what we do. They're in a
So
society.
what's the
They're in
difference
a.
between a slaver having slaves, if not creating their own society then?
I will say
'Cause,
that it's selective breeding. I mean, that's the genetic manipulation to make domestic animals and all the different types of domestic animals that we see today. I mean, there's so many different breeds of cows just within the dairy, let alone the beef, like, arc. So, I mean, selective breeding, people are very, very careful where their animals are breeding to because they want to develop
Beef. I can't speak on beef because I don't do beef farming. So, like, that's dry stock.
Oh, then where do the boys
That's different
go?
than dairy. But the boys, they go to either a processing plant to be like grown until they're large enough to be to that, or if they are undesirable at all, then they just straight away that happens. Like they may be alive for 20 minutes and then that happens.
You think that's moral?
Yeah, I see no problem with it.
Okay,
I think it's more moral than.
what
I think it's more
morally
moral than
justifies
raising it. I think it's okay. I think it's more moral
I mean,
than
you
raising
shouldn't be
it
breeding
with
them.
no need.
You shouldn't be forced breeding them. You're making another being that has to be dependent on humans to be taken care of, and they overproduce. So even if they escape their slaver, they hardly have a chance to survive as they're wasting energy that you made them do. So you're enslaving someone, and you've crippled them.
So do you think while in the wild before cows were domesticated, do you think they never bred, and do you think they never?
I thought they bred, and they only had enough milk for their young, so they didn't waste energy. Because when you waste energy in nature, you have to gain it
Oh, you're
again,
seriously
and
misled
that's
then.
hard.
No. A cow's milk production does not depend on its hormones or feelings. It depends on the amount of food that goes into its mouth. There is no other application
it also
to that.
depends on genetics. Like,
Yeah, I was like,
the
you're
reason
forgetting
horse-
about the manipulation. God, sorry, Lydia.
Like if you're trying to tell me that a cow will produce 2 liters of milk per day because that's all its calf requires, then you're absolutely crazy.
I mean, more natural breeds like bison and such, just
Do you
produce.
know how much?
But they're saying
Do you
that
know how
dairy
much
cows.
average dairy cow produces without any genetics? Just your average run-of-the-mill runt dairy cow with no, that's just random bull, random cow. Do you know how much? How many liters?
They're still a dairy breed. That's still a selectively bred dairy breed.
It's not. No.
Like there's no like
it's not a
random
dairy
dairy
breed,
cow.
man.
You're
Like,
going to have dairy breeds. Like whether you combine them, like they're still
okay,
specifically cows.
okay. I
But I
don't
mean,
normally
you
like to
could
step outside of Western
you could
society,
milk.
but
I
let's
guess
go
you
to the Middle
can.
East then. Let's go to the Middle East where they don't dairy their cows and they don't butcher
let's
them,
not.
right? Let's go there.
Let's not.
Like I think you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. It's just the breeding cows, and there's many different types of dairy breeds and breeds who are also good for, I guess, what they say, meat and dairy. Like there's a combination, but we're saying that genetically these animals have been selectively bred to produce more than average than like what wild bison would.
So that's incorrect. They've been genetically bred, selectively bred to pick out certain genetics to make hoof traits better so that they don't get lame, so that they don't suffer, to make udder control better so they don't get mastitis and other things. Like, you guys actually don't know what you're talking about. You've just heard a few things. I'm a farmer. Like, come on, man.
I mean, they selectively bred. Like the Holstein cow's udders get so big, I've never seen a bison have an udder like a Holstein cow. There's genetics involved.
You've never seen, or it's not possible.
It's not possible. In the wild, you have to conserve your energy. To overproduce milk and eggs and anything else is a waste of energy.
Like, so you think that a cow's like, all right, I've just produced like two quarts of milk and that's all I need to feed my baby today. Better turn the tap off.
No,
Like, is
I
that
think
seriously what you think happens?
I think they evolved to produce what they needed to, and we took a hold of them and manipulated their genetics. That's what I think happened.
Oh, that's what you think happened. Oh, that's cute, but that's not what happened. The cows have
It doesn't
always.
matter what happened, because today we know that humans can thrive on a plant-based diet. We know that humans can thrive on a plant-based diet, so it's unnecessary to use animals at all. And in fact, we would feed the whole population and more if we stopped wasting our resources on enslaving sentient beings for taste pleasure.
He's being disingenuous.
With all due respect,
No, you're being disingenuous though. Like, you're denying that selective breeding happened to make dairy cows happen and to make specifically meat cows happen. And I used to have both cattle. We did not let our meat cows crossbreed with our dairy cows because the offspring were not the same line. It's selective breeding. You're not just throwing all of your cows out in one meadow and just letting whoever breed who. There's a very selective process. Like, some of these bulls are studded out for thousands of dollars to get their sperm for artificial insemination. They want specific breeding lines.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, a little delulu to think.
It was just, that's
I had someone once tell me that they were catching wild chickens, and I'm like, if they're producing eggs every day, those were not wild chickens. Those were someone's chickens that they let go. That is not natural. All right. Oh, Sadar, you're back.
All right. Sorry, I had a phone call. Y'all didn't hear any of that, did you?
No, it kicks you out.
Okay, good. All right.
Not out of the screen. We could see your little icon, but we didn't hear anything.
Okay. Well, anywho's, so first off, I mean, because there's been a lot of, I've been listening for a minute here, and there's a lot of points back and forth. But I mean, our main topic right now is why cuddle one and then cut the other, whatever.
Well, this is kind of my starter question. The overall arc of what I'm getting to is what makes animal use moral. Why is that objectively, or not objectively? Why do you consider it moral to use animals that cannot consent to their treatment?
Well, see, and that goes to what I was trying to get to here is, so by definition, sentience is the show and proof of higher intelligence, not just any intelligence.
Sentience is just having an experience and making preferences on those. You're thinking like sapience, where you're able to think about thinking.
Okay,
yes,
but
I would say that humans have maybe higher abilities or different ways of perceiving the world, but that's not a, we have humans that can't even do that, but we still protect them and find it immoral to exploit them.
But see, that's the thing, and this goes into the whole like morality of it. Now, I mean, obviously, every debate and every conversation in history has been through morality. It can be based off of disagreements or just outright wanting to tell the other person that they're.
I literally just want to know, why do you think it's okay for you to use animals, though? I don't care about history of morality. I just want to know your preference.
But that's the point, though, is that A, it's morality. B,
I'm asking your morality.
like, okay,
just yours.
but that's
I don't care about it. I don't care about the bigger picture. I care about your morality.
The bigger picture is my morality.
But I'm
Because if
talking
you don't
about
look at
you
it
and
in the
your
bigger
choices.
picture-
I'm not talking about the whole of society. I'm talking about your choices and why you think right now you should be able to go to the store, pick up a package, and it not be your moral obligation to not buy it. Not pick it up, I
because
guess.
because it is my God-given right.
To what?
We live in America. It is my God-given right to eat food that has been given to me. There are
I
multiple
don't know about
passages
that
in the Bible.
being a God-given right, but
It is a God-given right
animals
because
are
there's multiple
sentient beings.
passages in the Bible. Okay,
You know, the
but let me
Bible
finish.
talks about slavery too. So
Yeah, and it also defames
okay,
it later on.
then let's not
You
use
can't just
religion as a
say,
moral compass here. Let's talk about
well,
just
religion is the
what
basis
you
of a
think is
moral
right and
compass.
wrong. I don't care what the book says. I want to know what you think is right and wrong.
Well, I think the book, and the book says that it's perfectly normal and capable of eating so.
You should watch
Because-
the documentary Christspiracy, because there might be some words that you're misinterpreting, and you should, maybe make sure you get the
It's
whole
not a
picture
matter of
before.
misinterpreting. No, because
So the Garden
God
of Eden
says any food
was the
given to
Garden of
him.
Eden. Hold on, Sadar. Was the Garden of Eden the most perfect creation?
The Garden of Eden was a perfect creation, but it was also a
Were
testing
they
ground.
were
At the
they
same
vegan?
time, no.
They were. In fact, they only ate plants and fruits. There's no talk
No.
of them using the animals, and there was no death.
You can read the book of Genesis in any version of the Bible, and it specifies
Before
that
the
they
fall,
from the
animals were
land.
not used. Before the
Yes,
fall,
they were.
animals were not. No, they were not. You should go watch Christspiracy then. I don't
They
really
were
want to
definitely-
talk about your religion. No religion
Yeah, that's the
justifies
thing.
exploiting and using someone. It was once
But
a Christian
animals
belief
aren't
that it was
someone.
okay to enslave people.
There's nothing saying that it was okay to slave people. And
Yes,
second,
it
animals
talks in
aren't
the
people.
it talks in the Bible. It directly says how to care for your slave and how to
No,
sell
it
your
doesn't.
daughter off into slave trade. Yes, it does.
No,
You
it
should go
doesn't.
read it.
You
Okay,
should go
it
read
doesn't
it
matter.
because you're misusing the Bible right
Cedar,
now.
I'm really sorry. We're gonna end it here. I don't care about your religion. If I had a religion that said it was okay for me to unalive babies, would you think that's moral? No. Even though my text is old and it has, scholars that read it, doesn't matter. It would be immoral to take someone's subjective experience away from them. That's what's wrong. I don't care what your book says.
And I would imagine in biblical time, people thought that, animal eating was necessary because they were in very extreme conditions. Like these were people that had to deal with droughts and like all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously their world's going to be very different than ours with, they don't have the large farming technology that we have.
Yeah, we definitely have an abundance, which we should take advantage of because we can feed everybody. But yeah, back then they may not have had food security like we do now. All right. I think Meow, you've been there. You gotta be over 18.
Because it's just Jesus and his family weren't rolling up to Chipotle down the road to get a bowl of,
Exactly. But also go watch Christspiracy because I'm not a religious person, but it is a pretty decent documentary. I got excited watching it, and again, I'm not religious, so if I was Christian, I would feel that I was truly manipulated because sounds like the words were not translated with honesty. They were translated with an agenda behind them.
And isn't ultimately kind of the biggest memo is to seek peace as a human?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that the overarching kind of message? So why would you exclude animals that we have to share land with? We're always going to have, hopefully, animals to share land with.
Yeah, right? Oh, hopefully. But, and in addition, I have yet to hear of a religion that says you cannot be vegan. Every religion is accepting of your, of different lifestyles, veganism being one of them.
Yeah, even if you had to have an active sacrifice of some kind, there's other sacrifices you can make in your life to substitute an animal sacrifice.
Exactly. Like a true sacrifice, not someone else's. Sorry, lady, I didn't mean to cut you off. But yeah, exactly. There's alternatives. I have yet, though, every person that has used religion to me and I ask them, can I join your religion as a vegan? Always they say yes. So that means they too, and you, whoever is watching that claims to their religion as their reason, also have a choice. And if God, your God of any choice, made animals feel pain and suffer and want to live, that means that, you should choose an alternative. Your God had, a reason, I guess, to make them feel pain and run away. Like, if they were meant to be for you, why would they not just run to the knife willingly? Okay. Moongoon. I'm going to go another 45 minutes. Moongoon, it's not working. Okay. Well, we tried. I'm sorry about that, Moongoon. It's fun to say your name. C8.
How you doing?
Good. Are you over 18?
Yeah, by way too much.
Nah, no such thing. All right. So, why cuddle one but carve the other?
Well, one's a food source for me, and the other one's my pet.
Oh, you eat cats?
No, that's weird.
Oh, okay.
I'll eat that bird. I'll eat that bird though. Looks kind of tasty.
Well, so why is that?
Because I've grown up on meat. I've been a meat eater my whole life. It's just what it is.
So it's just culture?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
And then, hold on. I was just gonna get to something. The misinformation that is being passed through this live is insane. Like, it's so biased, and you don't allow anyone to finish a thought. You tend to talk over top of them quite often when they just.
Which guest are you talking about?
Pardon?
Which guest are you talking about? What conversation are you referring to?
The last two that worked.
Okay, so bring up a point that you think is misinformation.
That if it's not your way, it's dumb. That is misinformation.
It's not my way or it's dumb.
Yeah, it's
okay.
It's your way or the highway, basically. And if it's not your way, it's mass interruption and.
That's funny because I'm pretty sure the one that's the most aggressive about getting what they want is the one shoving knives in animals' throats.
I mean, I haven't shoved a knife down an animal's throat.
Do you pay for animals to be used?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Well, then you absolutely pay for them to have a knife shoved in their throat.
Yeah, but it's nourishment, right? It keeps me going. Sustenance.
But you can eat something else. You don't have to eat a someone. You can eat a something.
Well, I do. A burger or a steak, that's a something.
That's a someone. There was someone having a subjective experience, and you took that away for a trivial taste pleasure.
Right, but it's no longer alive when I get to it, right?
So what makes it okay to do that to animals, but not okay to do that to, say, you?
Because I'll fight back.
Well, animals fight back. They still get the knife.
They don't put up a very good fight, though, right? They always
because we've bred them to be weak. We've literally picked the most peaceful animals, and then we've bred them to be even weaker and more vulnerable to us.
Yeah, but that's.
And in addition, do you mean to say then that slaves were like it was good that they were enslaved because they didn't fight back hard enough, so therefore it's morally justified?
I thought that you had stated before I just came in that you didn't care about religion. It wasn't.
I didn't say anything about religion. I was talking
You
about
did.
slavery.
That's religion, right? It's
That
Bible
was
crap.
not based on religion. It
It's
was
Bible
based on
crap.
economics.
It's just Bible crap. I don't want to hear Bible crap. I want to hear facts.
Slavery happened.
Thank you for the gifts. It's Bible
Slavery
crap.
happened.
It's Bible crap. Let's keep that out.
No, it wasn't.
You
just the
are
Bible.
crap. I don't want to talk to you anymore.
What?
Go ahead, Lydia.
No, slavery is
I don't
based
even
on
know what you're
economics, and it has been a global issue of humans for a very, very, very long time. Whether it's labor exploitation of any kind to make it cheaper to make crazy things happen, like it's not biblical stuff. I don't understand where he's going with that.
Like the 1800s were not biblical times. Maybe some people used the Christian Bible as a justification because it does talk about it.
Also,
But-
did you see, guys? He couldn't bring up this misinformation that we were spreading when I asked for specifics. Did you see that?
I did. That was, yes, he could not. It's just that you think I'm dumb. Well, you haven't proven otherwise. All right.
I was kind of laughing. So like, oh no, is he going to bring up cow breeding again? Do we have to talk about cow breeding again? Like,
Yeah, yeah. No, they're naturally that way. That's the other thing is like when I talk about the Garden of Eden, I have had someone say, well, they didn't say they weren't drinking the milk. And it's like, well, it doesn't talk about any animal use at all, though. It just says the fruits and the veggies are your food. And cows weren't manipulated yet, so they didn't overproduce milk. So it's not natural that they do that. All right. We'll do Kevin. I know I've seen you there for a minute.
Hi, so I don't think we should eat plants or animals. I think that we should
Okay.
eat.
First, before you continue, how old are you?
I'm 19,
Okay, what year were you born?
2005.
Okay, perfect. All right, you just have a younger voice. Please,
Alright.
do you want me to call you Kevin? You sound. Is Kevin your
Just
name?
call me Kay.
All right, I'll call you Kay.
I don't think we should eat plants or animals. I think we should eat humans.
Okay. What's your moral justification for that?
Well, not just any humans, but there are labs where people can go that want to voluntarily unalive themselves. And so the ones that want to voluntarily unalive themselves, we should eat those humans.
Yeah, I guess if there's some kind of at least consent, I have no moral, I guess, objection. But
I
yeah,
guess
that would.
my biggest critic though is it's not going to be sustainable as like a regular source. It'll be like. I don't know.
Yeah, it wouldn't be.
Well, have a good day.
Thank you. I appreciate your activism. That was pretty good. I like that. That was a good troll. Yeah. I still don't know how I'd feel about that either. I'd be like, I feel like those people first need counseling.
It just sounds like something a very expensive restaurant would offer for some reason. Like,
I think Atlanta did something like that. I don't know if the hands were from willing participants, though. I don't know if you watch Atlanta at all. But there was like this elitist class and they were eating human hands.
yeah, that would be my concern, is especially the sourcing. It's like, are you sure they consented? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. Gross. All right, let me see. Keep an eye on the time, too. Okay, cool. We are good. Robert, I know I've seen you there for a minute. Uh-oh. Dang, Robert. You waited, too. I'm really sorry. I don't know. IDK.
How's it going?
Hey, are you over 18?
Yeah, I'm 21.
What year were you born?
Sorry, 2002.
All right, so why cuddle one but carve the other?
I'm not really here to debate the cuddle one, carve the other as much as just kind of question veganism. as optimal nutrition.
Well, just to be clear, I am here to talk about like you and your moral framework about veganism, about using animals. Is that the same topic for you?
So, yeah.
Okay, then I'm okay with your questions. Go for
I
it.
mean, the only reason I'm not, the only reason that I'm not focusing on the cuddle one, carve the other is because that's all subjective. It comes down to the person.
It does. So, I mean, you know,
People-
like, why do you think it's okay to use the animals at all? You can just have your friend talk with us. They don't have to be.
Sorry,
They don't have to. That's okay.
No, sorry, that was my dad. He was asking me something.
Okay. I just mean I don't mind talking to both of you. That's fine.
What was the?
Oh, so why do you think it's okay
he
for
was
you to
asking me
use
if I was
animals?
talking to the school because I.
That's fine. So why do you think it's okay to use animals?
Because everything on planet Earth is alive in one form or another, and I don't think that it's morally sound to prioritize one form of life over the other. And
Well, animals are sentient, whereas
think
I'm sure
that-
the other life you're going to pivot to is not sentient, like plants.
how do you know that?
We have science that shows us that animals are clearly sentient. They're a subject having an experience of the world, and they're making preferences on those experiences.
No, I agree.
Plants are just reacting to stimuli.
I
They
agree.
just have chemical reactions. So they're not thinking about their experiences. They're literally just responding to things with chemical reactions.
Is that not just a
So they're not thinking
not
about
necessarily
it.
watered down, but more
plants
a
don't
more
have a
primitive
brain.
version of
No.
sentience
Plants do
and
not
thought?
have a brain or any kind of organ that requires, that is required when you're talking about sentience, because you have to have a processing area to
When you're-
think about what's happening to you and then to make a preference on that. Animals have that. They have a central nervous system
But
or
how-
some kind
how
of
do you know
ganglia
that?
at least. Because there's science on it. We have studies that have opened these animals up and have found the physical CNS system, and literally we watch them. We have behavioral studies that watch them. Animals are sentient. They feel
But
pain and they're
how-
making preferences.
I'm not questioning the sentience of animals. I'm
Okay.
not questioning the sentience of
So
animals.
then if you
I
agree
think
that animals
inhumane
are
killing
having-
and
So if you agree that they are sentient, that they are having an experience and making preferences on their experience, do you agree that they prefer to not suffer or to feel pain?
yes, and I think that it's a horrible thing to
So then what
cause
gives
them
you
suffering
the
and
right?
pain just
What
because
gives
you
you
want
the
to
right
eat
to
them.
do that? Yeah. Okay. So you do agree it's wrong.
I don't do that. I think that nobody should. I think that we should ethically source our meat and give these
Okay, how
animals
do
the
you
lives
take
that they
someone's-
deserve and
how do you
not
take someone's
industrialize
muscle?
and commercialize everything.
How do you take someone's muscle in a kind way?
By giving them a good life, feeding them good food, and then putting them out of
And how do you
commission, I
do
guess
that?
I'll say.
How do you
Humanely
put
and
them out of
painlessly.
commission? No. I want to know the actual steps. Do you know what they do now?
Well, I mean, the
what
quickest way is probably going to
99%,
be
if
one
not
in the back of the head and
100%?
sever the spinal cord from the brain.
Do you think that's humane? Do you want to go that way?
Yes, because
any
that's
of
quick
your
and painless. You
You
feel
want to
no
have a
pain when that
knife
happens.
drawn across your throat? That's insane.
not what
No
I
one
said
would
do.
agree with that. I just asked you if you would go through that slaughter process
That's
yourself.
not what I think should happen.
Can you let Ozark up real quick?
Oh, yeah.
If you give them a humane life, you feed them good food, you let them live how they are meant to live, just the same as us, and then you put them out of their of life humanely by, like I said, putting one in the back of the head to sever the spinal cord from the brain so that there is no pain, then I don't think that's unethical. I think that's the circle of life.
Sir, do you mind if I interject really quick?
Go for it.
So do you understand like how we consume most of our plants? Like, do you like
I mean,
what we
you
consume from the
pick 'em, you
plants?
eat 'em, grow 'em, pick 'em, eat 'em.
Say it again.
What?
Like so
Grow, pick, eat.
Yeah, so we grow, pick, and eat, right? So most of the plants that we are consuming, like nearly all of them, like we're eating their reproductive organs. We're not actually harming the plants, right? And the plants that we do end up like taking stuff that are dying are generally dead when they are ready to harvest, such as like most of the legumes that we consume or the grains that we consume and stuff like that. Right. So there's a
Also, I'm sorry.
there's a
I do
big
want
ethical difference between specifically ending a life, like a sentient life, versus taking parts of a plant that are going to grow back, or when the plant's already dead. Right. There's a big difference. So the whole plant
There's
sentience
a
thing
difference,
is
but I
not
don't think
a
that.
logical argument by any means.
Well, that wasn't even the center for my argument. Well, the center for my argument is that it's the circle of life for things to live and die, and
You
if we
said
give them a humane life.
prioritizing, though.
No, I said, why are
The
we
circle of life
prioritizing one
from the
form of
Lion
sentience over
King
the other?
movie. You know what our circle of life is? Taking our
Live.
fists, putting it into animals' behinds, right? Extracting semen, putting it into
That's
something,
actually
and
so
then
that you can
shoving
get
it
things
into a
out of their stomach
female.
that are harming them when people
That's
do
our
that.
circle of life, right? That's the circle of life, right?
But you're kind of ignoring the
I
point that
just
I'm
I just want to
making, where
clarify,
if you give the animal a humane life,
I just want to throw in there, you do have a misconception. The description that he's talking about of putting farmers' arms up cows' bums is not to pull stuff out of their stomach. That is to make milk. That is to impregnate them so that they produce milk for us.
well, I think that's kind of a silly practice, and it should be not something that is happening. I think we can all,
That's
well,
how
maybe
we
not all
meet the
agree with that,
demand
but
for animal
I think
consumption,
that's
though.
something we can agree with.
That's how we
I'm
physically
not
have
here
to
to
meet
say that
the
animals don't have feelings, that animals are here for humans, like some of the people I've seen in the comments. I think that's a stupid argument, and I think that those people are delusional. I think that if you give an animal a humane life and a humane death, there is nothing wrong with eating what it gives you.
Can I ask you a question? How do
Yeah.
you humanely end the life of somebody who doesn't want their life to be ended?
Well, we're not talking about someone who doesn't want their life to be ended. We're
We're
talking about
talking
an
about
animal that is
somebody
getting
with
to the later stages of its life
subjective
and has lived a
experience.
humane life that you have given it, and now it is time to harvest the
Why
fruits
is
of
this
your
a
labor.
hard question for you to answer? How do you humanely take the life of
What's the
somebody
question?
who doesn't? How do you humanely take the life of someone who doesn't want their life to be taken?
You sever the spinal cord from the brain. That's how.
So we can do that to just anybody. Like if I can go and
Not just anybody, no.
do that to. Why not?
Because a humane way to do something does not equal humanity across the board
You
of
know what
every
humane
instance of it
means.
being done. It just means that
You
the
know what humane
methodology behind
actually
it
means.
is painless.
Do you know what humane actually
You're
means?
kind of diverting the point here.
No, I'm asking you and making sure
Yes, I
you
know what humane
understand
means,
your
but you're
own
kind of
point.
diverting the point.
What does humane mean?
No, you're not. You're sitting here
It's a simple
diverting away from
question. I'm
the point
making
that
sure
I'm
you
trying to make,
understand
because
your
you
own
haven't answered my
argument.
question either.
Well, I'm making sure you understand your own argument. What does humane actually mean?
No, you're making sure. Well, I mean, I take that back. You are questioning what I have to say, and I can very much appreciate that. But my point is that if you give an animal a humane life, and then
I
at the end of
understand
its
what your
life you give
point
it a
is. Like, I'm
humane
not
death,
trying, like,
you're not letting
I
me finish.
understand what your
If you
point
give an
is.
animal
I'm
a
just
humane
trying to make
life,
sure you.
and at the end of its life you give it a humane death, then I don't see any problem with eating the fruits of your labor.
Great, I understand that. So
Because
I
you raised
get
that
what
cow,
you're
you
saying.
paid
I
for
get
its
what you're
food,
expressing. But I need to ask you, what does humane actually mean? Like, this is the only way we can have a logical discussion about what you are implying here. It's a very rational question.
I'm not a dictionary. I'm not going to sit here and talk definitions with you.
Humane means extending compassion, right? So again, How do you compassionately
Extending
end the life of
compassion.
somebody who doesn't want their life to be ended?
You sever the spinal cord from the brain because they're at the end of their life, and if they continue to live, they will only be in pain because they are livestock, they are chickens, they are whatever you have that
So
can
you
no
believe
longer
that we can
live its life to
compassionately
the
end the
fullest.
life of other individuals then?
You are not listening to what I'm saying. Every
I'm
time I start
listening
to talk, you
exactly
have
to what
something to
you're
say that
saying,
is
and
off
I'm
topic.
following up with you.
You're completely off base. You're not listening
No,
to me.
you're completely avoiding you're describing how you would end the life, but how do you compassionately? Like how
But
is
you
that
haven't had anything.
compassionate
I've
to
told you
take
how
the
I would
life of
compassionately end that
somebody?
life, and you haven't had anything to say about what I have to say about how we get to that point.
Because logically, extending compassion to somebody is not taking their life when they don't want their life to be taken. That is
What's your
extremely
basis for that?
antithetical to compassion.
What's your basis for saying that no killing is ever justified? What
I
if a man
never
breaks
said
into my
no
house?
killing is ever
And I know we're
justified.
not talking about animals breaking into a house here, but if you're saying no killing is ever justified, what if a man breaks into my house and threatens my family? Am I justified in killing him?
Can you express where exactly I said that?
Can you express an answer to anything I say?
Well, I could if you can express where I actually said that, because I don't recall ever saying that. And if I never said that, that means your response to that is not worth a follow-up, because you're making up something that I said.
Well, you're still I don't know what your problem is. You got on to me for not
I
answering
just
the
want to be
question,
clear.
and then you
Hold
have
on,
nothing to say about
IDK.
anything I have to say.
Hold on a second. Just to be clear, veganism is not about not killing. Veganism is not about, it's about not exploiting someone for your benefit. That's what it's about. So you can defend
And I agree with
yourself.
that, but
There's nothing against that.
Veganism isn't the cure for that. Humanely treating your animals
Cure
is
for
the
what?
cure for
I
that,
didn't give
not
you a
veganism.
symptom. I said veganism is against exploitation of a sentient being.
That's for exploitation. That's what it's the cure for, is the exploitation of animals.
Of animals,
Treating your
yes,
animals
directly, because
humanely is
when
the
you
cure
give
for
your
exploitation
dollar,
of animals.
when you give your dollar to the producers of animal products of any kind, it has to come from someone being exploited. No doubt about it.
Do you
Unless
think
you
that
know where
taking
you're
the
getting your
life
meat,
of an
which in
animal
the
is
South,
an
we actually have a lot of
exploitation?
people who butcher their own meat, and you can get locally, humanely sourced
It doesn't
meat.
matter. You're still exploiting. You're still using someone without their consent when you don't need to.
No.
What do you
No,
think
you are
exploitation?
you are buying a product from someone who humanely treated their animal as a member of the family. Farmers that I know personally, real farmers, treat their animals as family. You
You're
buy from
still
commercial
taking
farmers
their
who
life.
treat their animals like
You're
crap.
taking
but
the
I
life
do
of
not.
someone
Or
who
I-
wanted to
all the
keep
time.
living.
IDK, there's no way you would put your family member on
You
a
are
chopping
humanely
block.
taking the life of someone who is at the end of their
There-
life cycle.
Okay, that's not how farms work. The meat harvested usually is from younger animals, usually juveniles. You have to do that because the quality of meat over time gets worse with age. And I will say for a fact, coming from a small farm, we never put a family member on the chopping block.
It depends where you get your meat.
So do you know what
if you get it from
exploitation
unethical
actually
sources,
means?
you will have unethical meat.
Do you know what
IDK, I don't even think you know who
exploitation
you're
actually
talking
means?
to. These two people know specifically, they've probably had the most small local flesh you can get. You should listen to them.
IDK, do you know what exploitation actually means?
If you don't like how your meat is produced, there's nothing forcing you from buying from that person.
Like, I'm not asking this to be condescending, because I genuinely feel like you're having trouble understanding or like correlating exploitation to what it actually is, right? So do you know what exploitation actually means?
Dude, I don't want to sit here and talk definitions. If you guys don't
It's
want to
important to the
respond to anything that I
conversation,
say,
though,
then I don't even want to be
because
here.
you're desperately you acknowledge that veganism is against the exploitation, and then you're just desperately clinging to some notion that local farmers taking the lives of
Yes,
their animals
veganism is
to
one way
use
to
them
solve the
is
problem.
somehow not exploitation, where that is exactly also exploitation. If I were to purchase
Veganism is
somebody
one way
to
to solve
use
the
them,
problem.
that is exploitation. If I go to a dog breeder to purchase a dog to do something for me, that is exploitation, right? Exploitation goes beyond just like,
Okay, go ahead and define exploitation for me then.
it's using somebody unfairly to benefit yourself. So
What
when
if you treat
take the
that
life
thing
of
as a
another
member of your family,
individual
as
to
I
consume
so
it,
often see people doing where I am from?
wait, can you say that
I
again?
cannot think of a single person. I cannot think of a single person that I know that doesn't treat their animals as family that everybody does not hate and refuse to do business with.
Again, you just missed my point about how you don't put your family on the butcher block, right? Like you just skip over this over and over again.
So is it okay for me to take my wife out and just
Well,
unalive
let me
her so
respond
I
to
can
that then.
consume her?
You're
I'm
not going to
treating her
kill a
like
cow to feed a
family.
cow, are you?
What?
You're not going to kill a cow to feed your cows, are you?
Unaliving an animal
Because we can
to
all agree that
consume them is
cannibalism is wrong
unaliving
and
an
it's
animal
different.
to consume them, right? I can derive nutrition from humans.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I said taking the life of an animal to
you can
consume them
derive
is taking
nutrition
the
from a
life
lot
of
of
the
things.
animal to consume them. I can take the life of a human and derive nutrition from them. What's the fundamental difference?
Yeah, but why would you do that? You're also a human.
Because I can, just like you can.
Don't butcher cows to feed your cows.
You can.
Yeah, but you should not.
Why not?
Because they won't eat it.
Yeah, they will. If you mix it into their silage, they definitely
No, they won't.
will.
They are herbivores.
If you mix it into their
Cows
silage,
are
they
herbivores.
definitely will, and they can derive nutrition from it as well.
Yeah, currently aren't a lot of cattle eating fish.
So now you're
Actually,
encouraging the exploitation of animals. You're saying that we should trick animals into eating themselves and
Now you're
use
straw
that to
manning
justify veganism.
Now you're straw manning me.
That's not a straw man. That's
That is a straw
little
man.
bit of a
You are
little bit of a
taking my
jump.
argument and
Sure,
making
but
it
it's
a
not a
different
straw man.
argument.
A straw man
It
would
is
be
a
if I
straw
were to
man.
say a straw man would be if I was to say, "Oh, well, you're killing plants because you hate plants or whatever." Like start trying to divert it and attack that. I didn't
that's
attack
what
your
you're
position.
doing.
I'm
You're
saying
doing
I'm
the
trying to
exact same
interpret what
thing.
you're saying, which is, "Oh, if you do this, then the cow will still eat it." What does that prove?
I'm
You
asking
trick
you
the
the
cow into
logical
thinking it's
difference.
something else, so it'll eat it.
I'm asking you for a logical answer for the difference between the two, and then you are saying I am advocating for the exploitation.
Well, because
doing
anytime I
exactly
tried to
that.
talk about the difference between the two, you guys interrupt me.
Okay, so IDK, the question was, because I think it might have just gotten lost, can Ozark use his wife instead of cows to butcher?
No.
Why not?
And why not?
Absolutely not. Because you are also a human. That is your wife, who I assume is about your age, and you are probably not getting to the end of your life cycle, and you are not livestock.
Why
Well,
does
it's
that
time for
matter?
him. He's got to upgrade, so
What if I
this is
determine
just a
that she's
convenient
now
side.
livestock? My wife is now livestock.
You're not looking to upgrade when you butcher a cow.
My life
When
is,
you butcher
my
a cow,
wife
you're
is
looking
now
to feed your
livestock.
family with
Can
an
I do it
animal
now?
that you have raised sometimes since birth and have taken care of and paid for the food of for a long time. You have
Okay,
the
so your
land
babies
to
then.
provide the
Ozark's babies.
a place to roam.
I married my wife so I can raise
Can I
her as
finish my point?
livestock. Can I consume her now because
Can you
she's
guys
now
address this
livestock?
point as well?
What's your
Can
point?
you guys address this?
What
You
is your
guys love
point?
when I address your points, but my point is that when you take an animal that you have raised since birth, fed, taken care of, treated as family, and whenever it gets to the end of its life cycle and it can no longer do what it wants to do, live its
Still
life
immoral,
how it wants
and I'll
to
tell
live
you
it,
why.
you
Still immoral.
butcher that animal and you
Still
eat it.
immoral. Still immoral, and I'll tell you why. What if I gave birth to a baby that isn't going to make it to adulthood? Do you think that's moral
straw
that I
manning.
then go ahead?
That is
but
what straw
I
manning is.
made it. I raised it. I fed it. I took really good
No,
care of
that
it, and I
is straw
loved
man.
it.
You are taking my
No,
argument
no, no, no.
and
It's
changing
called a
it and then attacking
hypothetical.
that. You are
I'm
not
asking you a
questioning my argument,
hypothetical. Hypothetical.
which is your hypothetical is a straw man.
It is not. It's
IDK,
a
are
question.
humans animals?
You want to talk about
Are
straw
humans
mans?
animals?
That's a straw man.
IDK, are humans animals?
Humans are mammals.
Are mammals
That's an
animals?
animal.
Are mammals animals?
It should be an immediate yes.
Yes.
No thinking.
Okay, so how is the argument different? Because we are talking about exploiting animals versus exploiting animals, right? So how is that actually straw manning when we are comparing exploiting one animal to another animal?
I'll tell you what, if someone treated me like fucking royalty until I got to my old age where I couldn't live anymore, I would have no problem with them killing me and eating me.
What about
you should
less
watch
than a
Mad
quarter
Max.
into your life?
I just want to make
When
this
I get
point.
when I get
So,
old enough, I don't want to
listen. That's irrelevant because the majority of animals are unalived at a premature age due to the conditions of, just meat production, but also dairy production. Shortens the
Also,
lifespan by a lot.
there's also the issue of consent there too. It appears that you would be consenting to that.
Yes,
These animals do not want their lives taken. Just like your 6-year-old child that you grew and decided to take their life early doesn't consent to having that happen, which is the case for most of these animals that are being consumed. They are being consumed at an extremely early point in their life cycle.
Do you have any other thoughts, IDK? I might move on just because you're not really catching on. I do want to reach maybe somebody before I end, but
Well, that's because you're not listening. Bye.
Okay. Well, I'm sad, but I want you to watch Dominion. You should look at what you are demanding. Anybody that is participating and supporting animal ag should know what they're supporting.
Yeah, regardless if you're getting from a mom and pop farm or a factory farm, usually the life cycles are just as short. You're not only consuming animals that are old.
Right. Exactly. All right. I'm gonna pull up another guest. Again, though, like I said, guys, I'm only gonna be up for like another 15 minutes. I'll let you up, Lori. Oh, hey, Dirty. So this is a guest that I had up recently that we had a conversation last time. How you doing, Dirty?
Doing great. Let me see something here. Hold up. There we go. That's like just more sincere, right? So those who don't know me, I was on this page last Monday. I had the opportunity to meet. I still never got your name.
Oh,
Anna?
I go by Anna, but most
Anna.
people could just call me VSL for short for the vegan stoner lady.
I'm the guy that a lot of vegans don't like. Okay. Or was. Let's put it that way. I was a hunter, a very good hunter, a very good fisherman. And then towards the end, well, actually, it all started with my dog. My companion passed away. And then I kind of lost interest in it. And then I started thinking about what was I doing unaliving these animals when food was readily available in the stores. And so over time that I guess manifested into, if you don't have to hurt something in order to eat, then you shouldn't have to hurt something in order to eat, if that makes sense. And I was already speaking to a friend about being vegan, and I ridiculed him and laughed at him because I thought that he was a joke and that, whatever. But I was lucky enough to be sort of redeemed, and even for myself, because I have actually given it a chance. I have been meat-free since last Monday, and the results are absolutely wonderful. I am full of energy. I was always sluggish. I am 5'11" and 285 pounds, which is very heavy for my size. I only ate meat. My meals were steak by itself, no vegetables. And I haven't watched Dominion yet. but I have watched one video. I mean, I don't have to really watch those movies. I mean, those documentaries, because I know what they do to the animals. I know what Tyson does. I know what they all do, and it's very sad. If you have a hard time understanding how those animals feel, just imagine if that happened to your pet or a loved one, um, and it would
Exactly.
quickly bring you into reality. I think I don't think vegans really want to push their lifestyle on people. I think they're just trying to raise awareness on a basic rule that if you don't have to unalive something, then you don't have to. There's actually more food available, and if we do it right, we can actually end world hunger if we do it right. Um,
Yep.
it could open up many opportunities. Like I said, my lifestyle has changed. I'm full of energy. I used to drink 2 energy drinks a day just to keep myself up and moving. Now I feel like I am highly active and have more energy than I can actually hold. It's really amazing.
Yay! That's fantastic news.
I have made my first vegan burger last night. Now my wife has tried
Yeah, I
it.
saw that.
My wife has tried it, and she actually started feeling sick. So I don't know what's going on there, but I'm having excellent results. I'm back to eating salads again. It's
Maybe try Beyond Burgers for her. She might like Beyond Burgers better.
okay. I'll definitely try that. She's actually trying to gain weight. I'm actually trying to lose the weight, so I don't really know how that works yet. I'm still
Oh
at the
yeah.
very beginning stages.
So I have a couple resources, but which one? The nutritionfacts.org has something called Dailey Dozen, and it's just a really easy checklist just to make sure you get all your necessary vitamins and nutrients and protein and all that.
Right.
As long as you eat enough calories, you get enough protein. But it's nice to have a little checklist to make sure you're getting everything.
Another good thing is I'm not as hungry and my appetite's not as heavy as it was throughout the day. I could literally eat all day long now. Like last week, I ate like 2 vegan chicken patties in the morning, and I wasn't hungry until late that afternoon. I mean, I'm not as hungry anymore either, and
That's good.
it seems like my body absorbs most of the food's energy, and
And you can check that kind of stuff too on Cronometer. Not that it would measure your absorption, but it can tell you at least what nutrition you're taking in. So at least
well, I
the part
can
that
definitely
can
tell you
control.
this: I go to the bathroom less, if that makes sense, and when I do go, it's not as much. I'll put it to you that way. I'm assuming that's a good thing. Like I said,
Well, I'm not a professional, so I couldn't answer that for you.
Right.
But if you wanted to actually, Dirty, since you've just started this, that challenge 22 is a free challenge where you get access
I'm gonna take
to.
a screenshot. I'm gonna take a screenshot.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
definitely talking to the dietitian will help you make sure that you're getting everything you need so you don't, harm yourself. Because most people don't know how to eat. Most people I know that are, including people that eat animal products, are just eating whatever's convenient and whatever tastes good.
Right.
So, but it is
I don't
important
know.
to
I'm
make
gonna
sure
tell you
you're
like
healthy.
this. I had a vegan burger, and I'm gonna tell you I got it pretty close to me as possible. In fact, for anyone that actually eats Burger King, I know it's not the best food out there, but sometimes you got to make do with the time you got, and I'm always on the move. The Impossible Burger tastes a lot better than the other Whopper that's out there. I wanted to say this. So I used to be a hunter, and I used to unalive animals. People don't understand what it's like to unalive animals. It takes a certain kind of person to be able to do that, and I have unalived a lot, and it's not a very good thing. It's not a very proud thing. I know a lot of hunters like to take pictures of their trophies and stuff, and to each their own. I used to take pictures with my fish, but never with my animals. Like there's a difference, right? I'm kind of a hypocrite. So to unalive an animal, it's a terrible thing. I mean, every animal I've ever unalived would have tears in its eyes because of the pain you put them through before they leave. And then I'm telling you, it's not a good thing. It's very dark. It's something you should only have to do for survival, if you ask me. Um, it's really, it's really sad. I mean, you gotta understand that these are creatures, and they also have families and feelings and emotions. And I have hunted with unethical hunters, and they have shot ducks, and they would shoot a duck, right? And right after the family, the little bird, the little, the young ones would follow through, and they would get hit too. So, I mean, I've seen some terrible things. I mean, you don't really think of it much until you get like towards the outside, get a different point of view, and that's what I did. I took a different point of view, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm very proud of my point of view. A lot of people would be ashamed or kind of like scared, but I'm actually not. And I'm gonna tell you this too. I just started this thing last Monday. I thought I would starve myself to death. It's actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
I can't like one of your people reached out to me with tacos, I guess. I don't know. And I started from there and I'm like, well shoot, I know how to cook. And if I could, cook these things, I could make them more green. And man,
Yes.
it's a definitely life-changing experience and I love it. I'm excited. You know, probably freaking my wife out because it's like a rapid change.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean,
Almost
it's
like
a
it's
rapid
kind of
change. I used to
Yeah.
go fishing and now it's, I don't know, man. Now,
Well, it's fantastic to hear, your experiences going from one to the other.
yeah,
Have you seen empty cages yet?
not yet.
Okay.
You're
Yeah,
gonna have to
I'll
send
send
me all
I'll
these-
I was
you're
gonna
gonna have
I'll
to send
send
me
you
all
his
these.
too. Yeah, because
But
yeah,
for
there's a great
people
community
wondering,
of people
especially
that you can
the
relate with.
real men out there, right? The real men out there, the harders, the doers, this and that. Listen, gladiators used to be vegetarians, and they won't tell you this, but they used to. They actually had scientists cut through bones of gladiators that were in Turkey, and their bone density was just phenomenal. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he turned vegan. Still a very strong guy. Um, who else? You have the world's strongest man. He's able to lift
Patrick Baboumian.
1,260
Yeah, they're all
pounds.
vegan.
Yeah, all vegans, man,
All
and strong as
vegans.
hell. Let me ask you something. What carnivore out there is actually lifting that kind of weight? There's none. All right. They took a test of people who ate plant-based diets in the Game Changers, and they looked at their DNA. The DNA was foggy in the DNA that people who were carnivorous ate meat, whatever, and the ones that were plant eaters and vegetarians, their blood was just so settled and clear. And not only that, it opened up their arteries so their blood could flow faster.
Yeah.
A lot of good
right.
benefits, man.
That's right.
Go ahead, Lori.
Oh, I was gonna say, it helps with cholesterol too, being vegan. And I mean, I learned that from a surgery I went through, because they had to check my heart, and the doctor was shocked when he saw no clogs in my arteries. He didn't know what the hell I was doing. When I told him I was a vegan, he was like, wow. All
it's
these
very
doctors
odd.
that are so knowledgeable about stuff should know about this, but congratulations, Dirty.
Yeah,
Just
thank you.
congratulations.
So it's very odd. My adoptive parents, because I was adopted, my adoptive parents, they recently had cancer, both of them at the same time. Poor diets, and now that they are put on a vegetable diet, stutter, a dominant plant-based diet, their health has gotten better. My dad looks 20 years younger, and it's unbelievable. And when I thought my dad would have laughed at me because my dad was a hardcore hunter and a very hardcore fisherman too. And when my wife told him that I was going vegan, he was like, "I think it'll be a good thing." And then my mom was like, she was excited because I'm 285 pounds. I'm a mechanic. I need to get in tight spots, and my stomach's always in the way. And
You got to be standing all the time. That's a very physical job.
yeah, right. And I'm telling you what, I'm excited. And it all started from following your page. If I would have never fell on your page, I probably would have never made it final.
Yes, I'm so glad you came up. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wanted to. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I am going to call it there. I was going to try to do one more conversation, but I can't. I got to go to the bathroom so bad, so I've been holding it.
Thank you
But
for
I do-
Moderator. You need a moderator so you can go to the bathroom.
Yes. I know. I try to keep them at 3 hours, though, too, so that I also could just take a break and decompress. But I know that there's other vegans that, I'm sure there's other vegans that'll go live shortly after me, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do appreciate you guys coming up. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Lydia.
All
And
you guys
thank you,
think.
Dirty. Yeah.
Thanks for having
All
me.
right. Yeah. And thank you, Ozark, for coming up as well and helping out. But yeah, everybody, you have a great day, okay? Oh, and Freesia, I see you there. Hey, Freesia. All right, you guys, you have a great day.